Welcome to Love to See It, a podcast about interchangeable hot people dating each other pretty interchangeably.
That's right, baby. We're back for another season of Netflix's mega reality crossover dating show, Perfect Match. It's season 4. Nick Lachey is still there, and they dropped 5 whole episodes in one go.
They're trying to kill us. We will be moving our main episodes over to Thursdays starting this week so that we can catch Perfect Match and then Love Island USA, which is starting in less
Soon,
than a month. I
2
mean, summer
weeks.
is coming. Summer is coming.
That's my official start of summer. Like, I know technically it's June
Meh.
21st. For us, it's June 2nd when Love Island USA begins.
And that's correct. A little housekeeping. If you missed our last news and gossip episode, our recaps of Farmer Wants a Wife, or our deep dive on the Summer House scandal, scroll back in the feed. We will be revisiting Farmer Wants a Wife and news and gossip in bonus episodes for the rest of its run. But we really wanted to devote our attention to Perfect Match.
We had to. I mean, 5 episodes, you can't be dipping in and out. You got to really dedicate yourself. Also, just a reminder, as always, we moved Rich Text over to Patreon fairly recently. Our most recent episode was about The Devil Wears Prada 2 and the surprisingly deep themes about the media and billionaires and AI that bubbled up in this frothy film. We also will be releasing an episode about our experience at Vulture's Reality Masterminds event, which, yes, we were there. We saw Kyle Cook DJ. We were right there when all of these Jen Fessler rumors began to bubble up. So we will be spilling all the light tea we got from that event and also dipping into some light thoughts about the more recent episodes of Summer House. And you can find that conversation and more at patreon.com/richtext.
So let's get into Perfect Match. Netflix's reality dating super show. I think of it, if you're into Canadian indie rock, as the broken social scene of Netflix's reality dating universe. They bring them all together for one all-star experience.
It's all-star dating.
Exactly. And not everyone is from a reality dating show. Like, if they think that you're hot and flirty enough, but you were on Squid Game, the challenge, you can come too. So we just had a near perfect third season of the show.
I know. Thank you, Ollie and AD, for your service. Thank you for getting married and having a literal whole child.
I know. I'm like, actually, I remember very little about the season except that this happened. And what a gift for Perfect Match that they had this relationship to kind of anchor interest in the season. This transatlantic Love is Blind love story. Now we have the fourth season. And if you haven't been watching, the concept is basically sexy singles from across Netflix reality shows, heavy on the dating shows, but also, as I said, some Squid Game, some Million Dollar Secret. But then there's also Married at First Sight Australia, Vanderpump Rules, a guy who's a social media influencer.
This is happening across reality television all of a sudden.
Yeah, they're just like, we found this influencer and he's part of this show of established reality star. Like every reality show that casts fresh meat is casting influencers. But to start having them on these shows that are for seasoned reality
Crossover.
stars, right?
Yeah, it feels a little off. I'm like, no, you need to cast him on The Bachelor and then
Can you imagine Jimmy Sotos as The Bachelor?
no. The
Absolutely not.
Bachelorette. He can be on The Bachelorette or Too Hot to Handle and
Yeah.
then or Temptation Island and then he can come on Perfect Match. Although, you know what? The ladies love Jimmy S.
I think, honestly, I think he's too silly to be on every other franchise that I think of putting him on. I'm like, nope, he's too silly. I don't see him being on Too Hot to Handle.
They're
I
like,
don't
okay,
see him.
fine. Shortcut straight to Perfect Match and the ladies go wild.
Exactly. But yeah, it's like he doesn't even go here. Like, Jimmy, Go home. So they converge on this luxurious villa, and each night their goal is to pair off into couples to share bedrooms. During the day, these couples then compete in challenges. The winning couples get fancy dates. They also get power in the boardroom, which is where they go see a list of new singles to send on dates, typically with people in the villa, to try to like break up some of the established couples. They come back to the villa, the new singles, and it's like musical chairs. Anyone left uncoupled at the end of the night has to leave the villa. And so the ultimate goal is to be in a couple and get voted as the most perfect match by the rest of the cast at the end of the show.
Even
And then
though
you
there are
get,
no stakes.
well, you get a vacation. You get an all expenses paid vacation that occasionally they stay together long enough to go on. I'm telling you, these all expenses paid vacations are such a gift for production because it's like 50% of the time you don't even have to pay for it.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you can get like if you actually do have to do it, there's so many discounts and in-kind, advertising deals that you can pull to
It's
just
a real money saver for the
right.
network.
Exactly. You can send someone on like a $10,000 vacation that cost you like 150 bucks probably. So Nick Lachey, as you said, is back to host. And I always think it's interesting that they leave Vanessa at home. Like this show is too horny and undignified for a married woman.
She's like, I will show up for Love is Blind. I will show up for the ultimatum.
Yeah.
This is a bridge too far for me.
She's like, I'm a married lady. I can't be here unless I am pressuring someone to get married and have a baby. Like, I'm here to remind people of the importance of commitment.
She's like, my job is fill the uterus.
The season opens with like this brief intro reel of Nick drooling over ab and boob close ups of the contestants while saying that they bring a lot of characteristics like personality and intellect and smarts.
I also just simply don't need to hear Nick Lachey talk about baddies.
I know.
Like, Nick, you're older than us. Okay.
I know. Why are you
I'm
commenting
sorry.
on the boobs of
Like a
24-year-olds?
Gen Z. Like
women in
this
Gen
is
Z
not
slang.
this is not the slang of Gen X. You like it's not even the slang of us millennials. We have to accept
Yeah.
our place.
I think that with some of these other reality dating shows, we don't have this dynamic because, say, you're Jesse Palmer, you're not there to comment on, like, I think we all know he's really here for the big bazoongas of that 23-year-old. Am I right? It's more decorous. Right? He's talking about marriage. We have Mark Wahlberg on Temptation Island. He doesn't talk about their bodies. He's just like, let's really talk about your emotional connections. And that's why
I
we
have
love Mark
developed
Wahlberg.
such an affection for Mark Wahlberg. I started getting served Instagram reels from his daughter, who's like a former
Yeah.
ballet dancer, and like campaigning
Same.
to get him on Dancing with the Stars. Oh my God, I'm so glad you've been seeing these too.
Yeah.
And just seeing him again, even through like the eyes of his beautiful daughter and like his lovely wife, just Mark Wahlberg. Mark L. Wahlberg, you are inspiring to me.
And then the comments are always full of questions like, does your dad have a degree in psychology? Because he's so insightful. And no one ever responds because clearly he does.
The answer is no. But he is a really good reality TV host.
He is. And again, doesn't comment on the nubile women's bodies. And then we have like Too Hot to Handle. There isn't really a human host.
There's a cone.
There's a cone, and it's a female coded cone. Okay. Like to have this sort of trashy, like hot singles making out show that is hosted by like a middle-aged man who's like winking about how horny everything is it skews me out.
I feel like they could just tone it down. Like he could just come in and be like, we're all here to have a great summer and find some love. I'm Nick Lachey.
I think he needs to play it a bit more like put all those things away. Dad's in the
Exactly.
villa, It's just a little too he's getting a little too involved for my taste. But anyway, so we open the season there, just setting the tone. This isn't about people's personalities. This is about
They're
body
hot
parts.
pods.
They're hot body parts.
Let's
And
talk about the cast, the OG cast, because there are always some OGs in the house. And then, of course, a rotating set of singles.
yeah, so we start with this original cast of 10. Damari from Too Hot to Handle is 6'5", gorgeous, and thinks he has too many groupies to have a girlfriend.
Tamari is gorgeous.
He is the
Like,
immediate hot commodity.
like
All the
he
women want
is
Damari.
beautiful, and he also can hold a conversation, which can't be said for all of them.
Yeah, he's got that X factor. I do think that groupies don't stop you from having a girlfriend. I think the problem is that you would rather be sexually available to your groupies than to
Then
have
have
a
a
girlfriend.
girlfriend.
But at least here there are no groupies, so he can only go upward. Nick is our next dude. He is from Million Dollar Secret, and you can tell that he is not from a dating show
Oh my
because
God.
he does not have the X factor.
Zero. The minute he showed up on my screen, I was like, who is this man? But actually, I don't care. I want him off my screen.
It's so depressing. He is not even just like his presence on the screen, but just the constant reminder that he works in finance, even though he seems as dumb as a box of rocks. I'm just like, is this what the whole finance industry is? Just like 6 foot plus, blonde, blue eyed morons?
I do think that is part of the problem we have in society is that,
I'm
yes, a lot
concerned.
of the dumbest motherfuckers on this planet become very wealthy and powerful.
Right. I'm like, this whole industry seems to exist just to funnel money to people with Aryan looks who
Yeah.
are men. Like, that looks like an Aryan man. Can we set
Give
up
him
some sort of
a
hedge
pile of
fund
money.
to funnel money to him? He thinks that he can stack up against any guy except for Timothy Chalamet or Cristiano Ronaldo.
What selections?
I He's like, anyone else I can definitely take. I'm like, yeah, those are your two biggest sexual threats in the world. Timothy Chalamet and Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay. Uh have you met Damari? Jimmy Presnell from Love is Blind Charlotte has new hair implants and is ready to be less embarrassed by his behavior on this show. He then immediately calls himself Uncle Jimmy.
Jimmy, you're 29.
Don't call yourself Uncle Jimmy. It's like you're looking forward to a time in your life when you're going to be the creepy uncle.
Yeah.
You know?
But this is Jimmy's problem is that on Love is Blind Charlotte, he was like 27 years old, but giving 45.
Well, he has a new hairline now.
And he does it's better.
It's listen.
I'm not saying men need to get cosmetic procedures. I'm just saying
Well,
it
just
works
like
on Jimmy.
it I mean, when women get cosmetic procedures, no one pretends that it didn't enhance their
Yeah.
conventional attractiveness. Like, like, I think he's also been working out. You know, he's looking good. He has his hair all combed forward, also in a sort of like Roman style.
We were discussing that perhaps he's calling a little too much attention to the new hairline. Like, just let it live.
Yeah, it's possible that he's trying to disguise it because it's not fully,
I
fully
guess they
established
did
yet.
film this a while ago. I don't know when he got
Yeah.
his hair transplant.
Listen,
And to be clear,
he's-
I am not shaming him for that. Like,
No, absolutely not. Beauty is pain, and he was willing to suffer for this hairline, and I respect that. I also think that weirdly he's coming across better to me than I expected this season.
same.
So,
I think he's kind of most improved. I think he and Chelsea just had such a rough
Yeah.
go on
Yeah.
Love is Blind. They both came off pretty badly. They now are great friends. They both seem to be thriving. Jimmy's feeling himself in his hairline, and he's able to do the dance that Love is Blind men have to do, which is like not like have some riz, but not be overly cocky about one's
Yeah.
own like sexual capital.
he is aware of his spot in the pecking order in a way
Exactly.
that sometimes these men fail to assess properly. As long as he's not calling himself Uncle Jimmy, he's doing fine. Then we have Yemen, who is kind of just a dating reality show veteran at this point. He's hopping from franchise to franchise. This is his third, I believe.
Was he
He was
on?
on he was on Love Island season 1.
Right. I always forget he came from Love
Same,
Island
because we didn't
originally.
watch it. Yeah, but he then was on Temptation Island. We did see him on Temptation Island, and he was a standout on Temptation Island because he was one of the ones who made a really strong connection with one of the women who was in a couple.
And he was like doing like nice boy therapy for her.
Yeah, he was a real sweetie and also, like, ripped,
Yeah.
he's got it
Very
all.
handsome.
He immediately renames the house Ye's Crib. He's like, "This is gonna be my house." Chris from Age of Attraction. They're bringing Age of Attraction into the mix.
I am loving this because everyone who was on the cast with Chris on Age of Attraction, the sense I've gotten is that they're all like, he just wanted to be on reality TV so badly. So it really tracks that he is now hopping right over to the next Netflix show that will have him.
100%. But his part that he is playing, or his archetype that he's putting out there, is like the right reasons guy.
Yeah,
He's like,
he's there for a real connection. He doesn't just
yeah,
have casual sex. He's not into hookup culture. He's there
yeah.
for love.
He's like, my heart and character really set me apart. Also my height and my body and my money. The full
Is he
package.
rich?
Apparently, he keeps buying women designer purses. He basically self-identifies as a love bomber. He's like, I need to be stopped. I keep buying women designer gifts way too early. He also calls Nick Lachey Mr. Backstreet Boys, and of
That's how
course
I know
they have
he's Gen
to
Z.
they have to shame him for that.
He deserves to be shamed for that. Like, how
Well,
dare
I'm
you?
sorry, Gen Z doesn't even know that 98 Degrees exists.
Yeah.
Like
They're
that
just
was
like the
lost to
man
the
from
sands
Love
of
is
time.
Blind.
Yeah, they're like, there were two kinds of boy bands, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. He must be in one of them. Let's say Backstreet Boys. Then we have Natalie, our first lady from Temptation Island,
I
who
did remember her.
she's very memorable. She's so gorgeous, and I always spend the entire time she's on screen thinking she looks like a famous actress, but that I can never place, and it drives me
Yeah, no, I
nuts.
think because she's just like an amalgam of gorgeous faces you've seen before, but in like a very
Yeah,
striking combination.
yeah,
But
and
it's hard
she's
to
like,
pinpoint.
and she's very, like, confident, very, like, beautiful smile, just, like, really pops.
Actually, do
She
you know who she reminds me of a little bit?
Please.
What's her name? The female lead from the Fast and Furious movies.
Megan Fox?
No.
I've never seen Fast and Furious. Michelle Rodriguez? Jordana
Yes.
Brewster?
No,
Michelle
no, no. Michelle Rodriguez.
Oh.
Look up like young Michelle Rodriguez.
It can't be her that I'm thinking of because I've basically never seen her. Okay. I see it a little bit,
She's
but
like a slightly softer version of like a young Michelle Rodriguez.
I've just never I couldn't pick Michelle Rodriguez out of a lineup,
I
so
have
that
seen
can't be who I'm
quite a few
thinking
of the
of.
Fast and Furious movies. This is my confession.
Your guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
So Natalie is looking for a mix between Michael B. Jordan and Zac Efron to father her children. Just someone
Right
right.
in the middle of those two men.
Then we have Marissa from Love is Blind DC, who has a really strong leg up to be my favorite because I love Marissa on Love is Blind DC. She had a rough go
I
with her
know.
engagement.
Oh, we love Marissa.
She's looking for a love story like Fitz and Olivia from Scandal, but
I
without the adultery.
hopefully without the murder also.
Yeah, just sort of like different from that. Then we have Mackenzie from Squid Game The Challenge, who is a cute blonde from a very non-dating show. She's like, there were no hot people on Squid Game The Challenge. I'm
I'm
so
gonna
out of my
say
element.
you can tell that she's out of her element.
Right. She's just like, how am I supposed to act around all these insanely hot people? She's like, Michigan is full of lanky beanpole men who can't change a tire. So I had
So
to
you're
come here.
saying our type.
Yeah, I'm like, please show me where you're finding all these dudes. I should never have left the Midwest. Then we have Allie Luber from Vanderpump Rules.
I love this casting.
This was a really shocking moment to me. I'm like, we're really getting the Bravo of it all here.
I know. Also, what a moment to give us Allie, of course, the ex of DJ James Kennedy, who is allegedly with child, like having a child with his new girlfriend. Not with child. His partner is with
James
child.
Kennedy is pregnant.
It's a medical marvel.
He's got a bun in the oven. Wow, I didn't realize. Well, I'm
Yes, no,
so
the news broke when we were at the Vulture Reality Masterminds event.
oh.
I looked up down at my phone and I was like, "Excuse me, what?"
Well, she was in her relationship with DJ James Kennedy on Vanderpump Rules, and that's mainly how she is publicly known. She is an astrologer, and she was always kind of playing his much younger, like sweet, sort of sidekick girlfriend. She is coming across much more overtly kooky on Perfect Match,
I'm
I
kind
have
of
to
loving
say.
it.
Yeah.
She's such a character.
She's like, there's lots of good astrology for me here. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what?
She's always talking about astrology
Yeah.
and
She's
Broadway.
also, I didn't realize she was 30. She comes across as so much younger
She's
in her.
very childlike, but she's actually one of the oldest people on the cast because most of them
Yeah.
are in their 20s.
But she's always doing this sort of like innocent, like face and like kind of babyish voice and like being silly like a child. And then you're like 30. Like, that's, didn't expect that. Allison from Building the Band is our last core cast member. She is like a rocker chic blonde who says she's a lover girl. And that's our original cast. So, on that note, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get into the action.
And we are back. So Nick Lachey starts us off with an icebreaker game. They love to do this on Perfect Match, just like do a little game so that so that everyone has to identify publicly the person or people that they are immediately interested in. They get these like cards with all of their faces and they have to put the cards down of the people they want like to do a specific
Right.
activity.
You basically each get cards of the opposite sex cast. You pick your two faves. And then when that person is in the hot seat, you can put that card down on one of these activities. It's like a gambling game table. And it's like kiss, body shot, feed me, or wild card are the options. And so they all like take turns being in the hot seat and seeing what people want to do with them. This actually was more of a strategic game than I realized. Like Natalie is up in the hot seat and Nick puts down kiss and Jimmy plays feed me. Very strategic because she picks the feed me one because she doesn't want to kiss yet. So he's the one who gets to squirt whipped cream into her mouth. Lucky guy. And then Damari's up in the hot seat. 3 women have his card and they all put down wild card to like take that variable out of the equation almost. I'm like, they're all actually thinking strategically here. And Marissa ends up getting to whisper to him. That's one of the wild card options. And she's basically just whispers in his ear that if he doesn't pick her, she'll kill him.
And this is when I started to get concerned about the dynamic that was going to emerge for Marissa.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, coming in hot. But they do end up making out, and I think he enjoys what he is reading as confidence in this moment, that she's just like staking her claim. She's making her wishes known.
Should we talk about some of the early connections that form?
Let's do it.
We have Allie and Jimmy from Love is Blind. An unexpected connection, but I'm like kind of here for it.
Yeah, I think that Jimmy is just kind of like leaving himself open because, again, he knows his place in the pecking order. He's like, I'm surrounded by like 6'3" men who are on competitive dating shows for hot people. And people said that I looked like a thumb when I was on Love is Blind, Charlotte. So I'm just going to see what filters to the top for me. And Allie's into it.
Jimmy actually ends up doing pretty well because the advantage
Yeah.
that men from Love is Blind have is that they have had to hold hours-long conversations with women.
That is correct. Sometimes men never have to do that until they go on Love is
Yeah,
Blind.
just ask Nick from like $1 Million Secret or whatever.
Nick can barely string a sentence together. And Allie is a kook, as we said, and I think that she's really enjoying getting to be in the spotlight, to not be the sidekick, that she can just like make men listen to her and make them laugh. And Jimmy is a receptive audience. So they discuss her cats. He says he does like cats. She has a litter robot that she explains to him. They talk about their astrological signs. She says she's a Capricorn, which means she's the boss. And they agree that they don't like judgmental people. So at this point, it's like Kismet. He doesn't hate cats, and they don't like judgmental people. So
It's a go.
they also both have these like ghosts that they're carrying from their past. Like they both had kind of like some difficult things that they worked through in the public eye. He is aware that people might think he has a wandering eye because when he was on Love is Blind, his fiance Chelsea accused him of being interested in other women on the show. And he's like, I just want to be clear that I've really done the work to improve so that I won't do that anymore. And Allie talks about how her ex would talk about boy things, but if she talked to him about astrology, he would interrupt her. And I was like, who is she talking about? Then she gets embarrassed and is like, it's so obviously him. I don't want to talk about it. And I was like, oh, that's DJ James Kennedy. She's like, we broke up because he wouldn't let me talk about girl things. I was like, didn't you break up because he like,
There was a alleged potential
there-
DV incident. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I mean, she clearly doesn't want to get into it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. She does keep talking about it in a way where I feel like that is the relationship that she's talking about, but
It
she's
is.
highlighting different like issues at each point. And I'm like, wow, this relationship was just 15 issues in a trench coat, it seems like.
I mean, running theme with James Kennedy.
Mm. But Allie and Jimmy really hit it off, and they quickly fall into this dynamic where she acts really kooky and says chaotic things and bosses him around. And Jimmy sort of chuckles uncomfortably and is like, she's such a loose cannon. I just don't know what to expect. And I was like, I kind of don't necessarily feel like he's into it.
I was so confused. Also, because so much happens. Like, we get all the way up to the final 4 days in this one drop. And it for so long, I was like, Jimmy doesn't even like Allie. And then they turn a corner seemingly like randomly, and it feels like they do really like each other. I was very confused.
I know, I don't get it. It really, it has the vibe to me of like, he's just feels so glad that this hot woman wants to be around him that he's willing to overlook all of the parts of her personality that irritate him. Like that's
Yeah.
just how it feels when they talk. And he's like, haha, wow, she's really
No,
she's really
I actually think that's
chaotic.
completely accurate. So the next couple is Nick and Natalie. And I immediately was like, Natalie, you don't like this man.
Well, so I think that Natalie looked around and she was like, the options for me here are not great.
Yeah, you're probably
And
right.
she had like 3 options she was considering, but I didn't get the sense that she was super drawn to Chris, Nick, or Jimmy.
Yeah, that might be it, is that she's just like not that into any of them. So she's like, whatever, Nick is a kook.
Right. Like she's a hot commodity. And I think she knows that. She's like, I'm going to play the field here. But it's not, if she was really gunning for someone, I think she would have locked that person down. And instead at a certain
I
point,
think
she's
you're
just
right.
like, Nick it is then. Chris matches up really fast. It doesn't seem like she's that psyched about Jimmy. Sure, let's go with Nick. Nick, we talked about a little bit.
I have nothing else to say about him, to be honest.
There's something that I do want to just say, which is that he doesn't know about Jersey Boys, the musical, even though he is from Jersey, which feels illegal.
I think he doesn't know about a lot of things, Claire.
He's like, I've never heard of the Jersey Boys, Broadway. What's that? I just want to do boob
Oh.
luges. I'm like, this is a man who's being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year
God,
to manage
really,
people's money.
I can't with him.
And he has like the voice and speech cadence and vocabulary of like a stoned surfer dude or like a Jersey Shore guest
I find
star or
him
something.
repellent.
He keeps being like, oh, Allison's just a short little tater tot. I really like it.
The men
Like,
are really weird about the fact that Allison is short.
I know.
I
That's
was like, have
like
you never seen like just a woman under 5'5"? Like, what's going on here?
I think it's also something that does not play to the audience. Also, when people talk about height, it usually doesn't play to the audience like, "Oh, he's so tall," because
They're all
height feels
tall.
more dramatic in person than it does on camera most of the time, especially because, like, if a lot of the guys are tall, your brain just sort of cancels it out. And Allison doesn't come across as being that tiny from what I'm watching, so it's like, why won't they shut the fuck
Well,
up
they're
about
just
how
all
she's like a
kind of
tater tot?
tiny.
Yeah, I don't know. They need to stop talking about it. But despite how much Nick is giving me the ick, he does get to match with Natalie, and then they end up kind of lightly hooking up in the
I
shower.
think she's just like down to clown and he's like hot-ish.
Yeah,
Not to me,
exactly.
to her.
Yeah. He looks
Chris
like a
and
Ken doll. It's just like not
yeah,
our vibe.
not
Not
our
our
vibe
vibe.
at all. Like the opposite of our vibe, I'd say.
Almost every man on this show is me being like, I can see that he's attractive, but no,
Yeah,
thank you.
oh, 1000%.
I want to hear more about those Michigan bean poles who have no practical skills. Let's talk about Chris and Mackenzie. Chris's strategy is compliments and, as we said, gifts. He tells us, like to the camera, that he once took a girl on a lavish date and bought her a $4,000 Prada bag
Weird
during the
thing to
date.
do.
Very
Very, very
weird.
weird thing to do.
And then she ended up dating his friend, and he's like, "My friend would always, like, thank me for giving her the bag." And I'm like, "Dude, it sounds like you're just, like, on a mission to give out designer handbags to every woman you meet. Like, why would you give her a handbag on the first
Also,
date?"
is that offer still available? Like, I'll take
Right, I'll
one.
go on a date. I hear you like older women.
Yeah.
He tells, Mackenzie that he likes to be respectful and treat sex as something serious, and Mackenzie is like, "Amazing, because I have
Same.
just never been on a reality dating show before. My grandparents were married for a million years, and so Chris and I clearly are both looking for something serious, and we're different from the others.
I also
So
wonder
let's do it."
if, this is one of those shows where they have to like match up immediately, spend a lot of time together, like share a bed together, not knowing each other. I wonder if Mackenzie is like, great, this man seems kind of safe.
Right. Like, that is such a strategy to go around to all the women and being like, "I will not try to fuck you right away."
She's like, oh, thank God. Okay, we can bunk up.
Right. These women need to be reassured that they won't be, like, preyed upon immediately. Um, in their suite, Chris does not physically prey upon her immediately, but he does immediately try to give her a Louis Vuitton wallet. Like, they've barely walked into the room, and he's
Like,
like, "Let me just, like, hey,
why did he
I
bring
have
that
this."
with him?
What?
Did he get it on Canal Street? Like, what's going on?
Where is he getting all this money that he can just afford to
I
donate
have a lot of questions.
multi-thousand-dollar bags and wallets to every woman he meets? I I do have a lot of questions. Also, I can understand, maybe, I mean, a Louis Vuitton wallet is a weird thing to break. I wonder if he has, like, a luxury bag hookup. Like,
Yeah,
why
like
is it
what
always
does he do?
bags? Because sometimes on a reality dating show, men will bring, like, a
Their
bracelet
product.
or, like, something to give the woman that they've kind of committed to down the line. But
He
why would you do it the first night?
it's weird.
And even so, a wallet is a weird thing to do. To get to, like, the end of the show and be like, I brought something hoping that I would meet the right woman to give this to, and it's a Louis Vuitton wallet.
It's also like, again, that is an expensive wallet, but it's not like Mackenzie could buy herself a fancy wallet.
Well, that's what she's like, "I feel like a hoe bag taking it." It's, like, so weird that they've spent an hour together, and he's like, "I need to compensate her in some way."
I think it's for him. Because his whole
Right.
thing is like, like his official bio is like self-proclaimed millionaire.
I know, it's branding. Yeah, no, it is a version of, like, MLM honeys, like, posting with all of their designer bags and
Yeah.
fancy cars to, like, show that they live the lifestyle of a wealthy person. Okay, so let's talk about Marissa and Damari. Marissa's
Marissa is just
strategy
like
is
zoning in on Damari immediately and basically like, I'm going to lock him down come hell or high water, and he will not be allowed to look at another woman. And I
yeah.
love Marissa so much. So the minute I started to see this happening, I I just got real worried.
I know. I really wanted this to go so well for her,
I
and it
know.
still could. We're only halfway through the season.
Mm,
We're
we're more
only
than
halfway
halfway through the season. There's like 3 episodes left.
I don't know, AD hit some similar low points where it didn't look like things were
Mm,
gonna go well. They had the whole
yes.
mixer and Ollie brought someone else back to the
It
house.
it still could it still could work out. I even if it works out on the show, I
Yeah,
have about 0 hope for this relationship in the outside world. I just don't think I think that a very uncomfortable dynamic developed very quickly.
yeah. I and we only know Marissa from this one show, like everyone. She's doing this sort of like, I'm confident, I'm hot, I'm scary. Like, like she's doing a lot of like, oh, what did I say I would do if you kissed someone else? Kill. Like, I'm not like, she's like literally trying to scare him playfully, right? It's like playful scaring. But like, seems like an intentional choice that she's going in with because that is not how I remember her coming off at all on Love is Blind. And it feels like she's trying to like take on more of like a, um, man-eater sort of persona because the show is different.
Which like I get to an extent,
Totally.
but then you also see other sides of her, of course, as the show goes on, and you see that those like underlying insecurities and anxieties are still there, which I very much relate to be clear. Like I've always very much related to Marissa.
I don't think you could listen to our podcast without us at least once being like, "We're very insecure. We
Yeah.
get it."
And anxious.
And anxious. No, I mean, this is why I've never successfully been able to, like, be confident
Yeah,
in
I
the
can't
dating
pull
world
that
because
shit
it would
off. Are you
it just
kidding?
collapses, and then it looks even more, like,
Sad.
ridiculous and sad that you are, like, trying so hard to seem confident. You just gotta seem insecure from the very beginning. Um, no, but seriously, like, she makes this really hard play and is like, "If you pick someone else, I'll kill you." Like, "Haha, but, like, I'm so hot and, like, we're so connected. We laugh, like, we have such a good time together." And he's, like, into it initially, right? He's like, "She's so confident. We have great chemistry." Like, he's into the idea that she knows what she wants and it's him. Then again, he has this other interest, which is Allison from building the band. They met at a mutual friend's party before, and she was really attracted to him.
It seems like she has a lot of close friends in the Too Hot to Handle world.
For sure. Her bestie is also from Too Hot to Handle, who we meet later. Um, she and Damari also share an interest in music. She's a singer. He raps. They both love R&B, so they kind of bond over that. But when she tells Damari she wants to match with him, he hedges hard enough that she kind of gets the message that it's not his plan, and he ends up matching with Marissa instead. So for night one, Marissa is the winner of this battle. Part of me is like, that's yes, go for what you want. But I'm also like, Marissa, I kind of wish that she had like played the field a little bit more.
I agree because then it leaves her in a position where she's anxious that he is going to explore other options for the rest of the show.
Right.
And there's no real room for her to do that because she's so distracted by that anxiety.
Right. And she has no leverage. Like he knows that she's a
Locked
safe
in on
bet.
him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yaman and Allison. So Allison's whole vibe with Yaman is being super demanding and princessy. I feel like this is not something that I like see from her again
I think
in
that
the
these
whole
two just
show.
are not into each other.
Yeah.
They're
Like
both like
they're
objectively, you are very attractive. And
yeah.
so we'll match, but there's like not any chemistry between
Well, and
them.
like everyone has to match with someone in the end,
Right.
right? And Damari matches with Marissa, so Allison doesn't really have another option. Yaman also has failed to make another connection. But what we see between Yeaman and Allison is him asking what she's looking for and her just launching into this long monologue about her expectations of the men that she dates and all of the qualities that they have to have. And the editors have some fun with some montage audiovisual effects to make it seem like he's zoning out, glassy eyed for hours listening to this. But like it gets the point across. Like they're not really in the flow together.
No.
So those are our five initial matches, and then it's time for the first challenge. So the couples have to get in tanks together that are slowly filled with water, but there are holes in the tank, and they have to plug them with their body parts to fill them like all the way up to a line with water. Sometimes they have to like switch holes. Just another excuse to like rub butts
They have to
against the
switch
glass.
holes.
I know, right?
That's why they designed this challenge, to hear you describe it just like that.
This is entrapment. Marissa and Damari win the challenge. They go on a romantic date. He tells her that he's lactose intolerant and a quote, relationship guy. I guess that's why it's so hard that he's been barred from being in a relationship by all of his groupies for quite some time. She tells him that in her last relationship, there was a lot of unhappiness for a year and a half, so she's anxious about starting a new one. How long was she even in that relationship? I've lost all track of time. How long ago was Love is Blind DC?
When did they film?
I don't even know. Because then she met
She had
her
another
boyfriend
relationship that.
by the time it aired,
So they
right?
filmed in. Okay, it premiered in 2024. So
Okay.
it filmed in 2023. Love is
Yeah.
Blind DC.
It sounds like she was, like she's making it sound that she was pretty unhappy for most, if not all of the relationship that she was in after the show.
Yeah,
Because this filmed last summer.
right.
So that sounds tough, and they end up joking about her jealousy of new people coming in, and she's like, "I'm not jealous. I'm like, don't touch him." And he's like, "That's
That
jealousy."
is literally jealousy.
But they
But for
seem
now,
like they're
they're
vibing.
yeah. I mean, they definitely are mutually into each other. To be clear, it's not like Marissa forced this upon Damari. I just think
No.
she maybe goes a little too hard. So they head to the boardroom, and I want to talk about the way that they have changed the power of the boardroom,
Mm,
because in some ways I see what they were going for, and there is a corrective element to it. But also, it like lowers the stakes of the boardroom in a way that makes it feel totally useless to me.
yes. Because what we get, instead of there being four singles on the board, and then you, if as the winning couple, get to pair off two people from the villa on dates and undermine those specific relationships. Instead, there are four singles on the board, and you get to invite three people back to the house, which is almost all of them.
Yeah, then they get to spend a lot of time mingling with everyone before they are paired off at all, spend a night in the house, which again, I think was the attempt of production to stop the OGs from being so possessive of the house, which
Yeah.
I don't know how successful it was, but I was like, I get it. They want to give the newbies more of a chance to like be on camera, make an impression, mix things up.
Well,
However,
yeah.
it doesn't allow the people in the boardroom to actually do any strategy.
Right. Like you can basically pick one person to not come back.
That is not power.
Right,
Like
and you
before
can't
they,
engineer any specific
well,
people. Like, if there's a
right.
relationship that you really wanna undermine, you could grab that person out of the villa for a day and send them off on a date without their consent. And instead, it's the person enters the house and zeroes in on who they think is the easiest get, the low-hanging fruit, right? And they take that person on a date. And so it doesn't give you as much chance to try to attack these stronger relationships. Like, it's very hard to balance the imperatives of, like, we want these couples to get solid enough that you care about them being disrupted, but not so solid that they never get disrupted. And it kind of just felt like the couples weren't getting solid enough for it to feel like there were any stakes in them getting broken up.
And then they still mostly stay together. So you're just sort of like, I don't really care who's coming, who's going. None of it seems to really matter. I don't care who wins the challenges because the power is fake. Like it made me just feel like, yeah, it almost was too fluid because we got to the final episode of this drop and I was like, wait, there's only 4 days left. I feel like these people just met each
You
other.
keep saying that, and I don't believe you because I forget. I don't remember seeing that, and
It
it doesn't
says
feel
4
right.
days till picking the perfect match.
That's crazy. I feel like the show just started.
Well, it did.
Even the most solid couples that we have, it feels like they just met.
Yeah, no, it's a complete. I was like, this season is a complete disaster.
So on the board this first time are Bree from Too Hot to Handle, Damari's ex. I actually didn't remember Damari, but I did definitely recognize Bree. So I was like, here's the thing about Too Hot to Handle. I watch those seasons and they immediately exit through the back of my head.
I recognized them.
Sometimes I recognize some of the people, but I will forget everything that happened on a season of Too Hot to Handle. Kayla from Too Hot to Handle, I also recognized her. And she used to date
Seb,
Seb,
who she met on Too Hot to Handle.
Yeah. So Damari's like, she dated my friend Dave from Married at First Sight Australia, who's this tall dude covered in tattoos, and Jimmy Sotos, a basketball player and influencer.
What a guy. So they bring in like Dave for Mackenzie because she likes tattoos. They bring in Kayla for Yemen, even though Allison is her bestie. They bring in Jimmy for Allison or Allie or Mackenzie. For someone.
They were right because Allison, Allie, and Mackenzie all go absolutely feral over Jimmy.
Yeah. I mean, most of the women do.
Yeah, but they're like, well, she's dated a Harry Styles looking motherfucker, and this basketball influencer has longish hair and is skinny. So there you go. For some reason, Marissa is really pushing Bree. And at first I was confused because she's so possessive of Damari and they have a history. But then she makes this comment about how there are so many blondes and brunettes in the villa that to me made it clear that she really wants another Black woman in the villa to bond with.
Yeah, I think that's
which makes a lot of
assessment.
sense. Especially on a show like this, like there's a lot of vulnerability that goes along with being a Black woman on a reality dating show. And like to have someone who you think can understand you in that must be comforting. But Damari really does not want to bring in Bree. They ended on bad terms and he doesn't want to see her again.
We learn later they haven't seen each other since they broke up. So,
yes. Yeah, not the place where you necessarily want to do it.
But don't worry, they will reunite by the end.
They always do.
So, as we head into episode 2, these 3 singles enter the house. Kayla, who is from Too Hot to Handle season 4, and she immediately catches Chris's eye. He says, she's glimmering with a presence I can't even explain in words. And that's fair because those words mean nothing.
She's glimmering with a presence. It's just like shimmering off of her, the presence.
It's glimmering off of her.
It's probably, well, glimmering and shimmering,
I know.
They kind of are, it's complex because they're similar, but I think also subtly express different things. She also got new implants that she is excited about. They look really painful to run in. I was like, you got to get these gals some more support. And I was like, is it her boobs that are glimmering, Chris? Is that
she also
the
has
presence?
darker hair now. She looks great. Very striking.
Kayla is gorgeous.
She's stunning. Yeah, I loved her. I very much remembered her from her season of Too Hot to Handle.
The women are more memorable to me, clearly. Yeah. I'm like, all of the women from Damari's season I remember.
Then we have Dave, of course, as you said, Married at First Sight Australia. And he at least has the wherewithal to admit that the reason that he does well in the world of dating is just he's tall.
He's tall enough that you've got to be aware. He's 6'6".
Yeah,
like
so
he's going to be the tallest guy in just about every room he's ever walked into.
He's also at 37, the house elder.
Yeah, Marissa is so happy to have someone older in the house. And Allie gets very excited. because she's into his
Tall.
whole tall thing. And some of the men are also very nervous because Dave is, again, very tall, and that
Height is
concerns
such a
them.
value for men.
It's also like Dave does say, he's like, I don't really have Riz. Like, my whole thing is like 10% game, 90% height or something.
I actually adored this self-awareness.
Well, right. And I'm like, because it's so true. Like, once he
Yeah.
starts talking to the women, they're kind of like,
Huh.
uh, okay. But like, is there any more there, or is it just the height thing?
And he's like,
Like,
it's the
it's the
height.
height.
Someone who I did not expect to be just a hot commodity is Jimmy S, who is also tall because he's a former basketball player, but he's skinny.
Yes. Which, like,
Dave is burly. Jimmy is
yes.
skinny.
And he's like 6'3", I think. I did look up his basketball
He's not
profile
6'6".
stats. Like, he's tall in a regular context, but next to Dave, he is not tall. He I'm so mean. He played for like Bucknell and like some European teams, I think, after graduation. Like, definitely more in the vein of like, I need to transition into an influencing career because I'm not really making money playing basketball, but it kind of sets me apart that I'm pretty good at basketball. Sort of overlap there. He's
Again,
like, I'm
it
basketball
works
slash
for him.
influencing.
He is 27, but he looks like a teenager to me.
Yeah, he's got that teenage vibe. Like, it looks like he couldn't grow a beard.
He also just is constantly using a black scent.
Yeah, I
Like,
was
just a
really
lot
thrown
of
by this.
AAVE slang.
Yeah.
It it was so intense that I was distracted.
It was giving Aquafina for me a little
Yeah.
bit. I was like, this is a lot. He's describing what he's into in women. He's like, I'm a butt and lips guy with a toned waist, like Mrs. Incredible. He's like, I don't know what to say. She built crazy, bro. I'm like, okay, Jimmy
Okay.
Sotos.
Jimmy
Um,
Presnell is mostly just upset that there are now two Jimmys.
I mean, it is crazy. And what's really crazy is that we end up with two Jimmy and Allison couples, basically. We have Jimmy and
You're
Allison and
right.
Jimmy and Allie.
Allie.
I'm like, let's just take one out of the equation. I think we were both pretty thrown by how the women all just like were all over Jimmy Sotos.
Every single one of them. I kept just being like, really? Like, you're also into this guy?
I don't know, man.
What kind of presence is just not coming through the screen for me? Clearly something.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, I'm completely at sea. Like, to me, honestly, he's cute, but in that way where I would kind of think like, oh, he's attainably cute because he's not like a Greek god like some of the other guys. But in fact, he's the most popular one.
Which,
So
to be fair, that does tend to be how it goes.
it does work
Women
for a lot
love
of
an
dudes.
attainably hot man.
We do. That's why Timothy Chalamet would have cleaned up. We start to see Marissa's possessive side coming out a little bit now that there are other women in the house. And Kayla pulls him for a chat. Marissa immediately starts to
It's
spiral.
just like, Marissa, this is literally part of the game. Like, everyone is going to pull people for a chat. It doesn't
Yeah.
even mean that they're necessarily that into them.
Right. And like Damari's like, we're staying open. Like, well, yeah, you just met her like yesterday.
Right.
Of course you're staying open. But Marissa has really locked in on him. And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I kept comparing it in my head to AD and Ollie just because they also had this storyline where they really locked in on each other so quickly. But there was temptation and wavering and tension and jealousy. Like, they had all of these beats in their story where wasn't at all clear that it would work out, and where they fought, and where it was looked maybe even toxic. But we knew by the time we watched it that they had worked out. And I actually think that made a huge difference because I'm watching Marissa just like, I'm white knuckling it because I'm so worried about things going off the rails because she's so, so locked in on this man. And I'm like, I'm worried that she's going to self-sabotage or he's going to lose interest. And like, I just want it to not go badly for her, but I don't have that assurance that I had with AD and Ollie.
I feel like it is going to go badly.
I just want Marissa to have a happy
Me
love
too.
story on TV.
You know what? I do too. Allison is also still making a play for Damari, and Eamon and Marissa do this
Oh, yeah, this
Oh,
was
just
rough.
very weird thing where they like interrupt the chat and then back off and then double back and are like, we need to
Yeah.
separate you. I was like, guys, this is not going to help your relationships.
I know. Yeah, your relationships, like Eamon and
Yeah.
Allison's thriving romantic they're literally like, "Oh, can we interrupt you? No, that's okay. Actually, we are gonna interrupt you. Yeah, you have to." Guys,
No, guys, don't do it.
th
Don't do it. Ugh.
who do you think is coming off better in this scenario? Allison to Damari or you?
Right.
Dave comes on pretty strong and flirty with some of the women and ends up, like, kissing multiple women before he's even been in the
Intense.
house for one night. He talks with Mackenzie and Allie and Natalie, and it goes well. And Allie asks him why the government isn't using astrology more because it's so powerful, and he's like, "Totally." And, there are men out there who genuinely believe these things also, and I think Allie should find one of them.
I
She keeps
know.
ending up with these men who are
Who are
just
just
like,
like, what's
"I'm humoring
astrology?
I'm humoring this hot dingbat because she's hot. What's astrology? That doesn't make any sense. Wanna make out?" And, Jimmy is not pleased that Allie made out with Dave in the middle of the afternoon right in front of him.
Not down.
And then Dave makes out with Natalie also.
Also, I want to point out that Dave is yet another reality TV man who claims his favorite film is The Notebook. Like,
It
this is a
comes up like
scourge.
it comes up like 5 times. I was like, "What are you trying to prove?" You're like, "At the end of a long day, I really just wanna watch The Notebook." What do I do after a long day at work? Watch The Notebook specifically.
At least his takeaway wasn't just like women love being railed on a hard wooden floor.
He's like, "Women love tall men," like Ryan Gosling. That's all it takes. So Jimmy S is getting, like, swarmed by hotties, and they're all looking for that whole experience of trying to talk with a teenager, I guess, who just, like,
I
doesn't
think he
seem.
listens. I really literally think the thing must be that he listens and asks questions. I think he
I
makes
mean,
eye contact with women.
if you're wondering why a man is coming across better in person than on TV, I think a lot of it can come down to the height is more powerful in person, and maybe he's the better maybe he's making eye contact and
Yeah.
listening because a lot of them aren't doing that. Mackenzie is really into him, but he is really drawn to Natalie because he loves her olive peanut buttery skin.
Okay.
He's
What?
like, "I don't feel that that food really adequately described the color of her skin. I'm trying
What
to
about
really
this other
isolate."
food?
What are you talking about? Please do not compare women's or men's skin to peanut butter. Like, what are we doing here?
I
She's
didn't
not a
like it.
sandwich. Also, I don't like to think about olive and peanut butter together.
It's not a good combo. But later in the night, he and Allison seem to genuinely connect. We learn that Jimmy has been actively avoiding Allison because he is normally drawn to short women and is therefore scared of them. I was like, what witchy power does he believe that like a woman under 5'4" possesses?
Emma, this season was so weird for you to watch. You're just like, everyone is like talking about me and my power and my
Yeah, it was like, what
my
what have I not tapped into?
I'm spooky in some way I didn't realize. Jimmy is also this is part of I think what makes him come off as a bit teenager-ish is that he's like scared of everything. He's like short women terrifying. Horror movies don't like it. Like I get scared. Like he just talks a lot about stuff that he's afraid
And
of.
then he talks as if he's in the thong song.
Yeah.
He's like, she little, but she got some ass on her.
Yeah.
Okay.
He likes he likes that. I do think they make sense together in that they both love music. They're looking to be a little more alt. Let's put it that
I
way.
was
I mean,
gonna
that's why
say
the Harry
alt.
Styles motherfucker looking thing was
I
coming from.
was
It's like he
gonna
looks a
say
little alt.
alt also. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Do you remember the days when we were all talking about being alt,
I do.
and
I do.
indie?
That was like such a beautifully millennial way to put it. And I really related to it.
Yeah. That night, Jimmy P and Allie have a very odd conversation about their potential future children, which like left me really alarmed, quite frankly, and thinking that they should not have children. Especially Allie. Like, Allie, you need to work through some of this in therapy.
Her kids are going to Broadway because she will be a stage mom.
Yeah. And Jimmy seems pretty unsettled by the idea that she would want her son to go to
I was
Broadway.
so confused by this because at first I was like, is Jimmy doing like underlying gender anxiety, homophobia, transphobia, maybe? Or is he just like unsettled that Allie is circumscribing the exact interests their unborn children will have?
Yeah. I think part what's going on here is a little bit of like he's doing a little bit of gender essentialism and she's doing a little bit of like my child is a blank slate that I can write my wishes upon,
And
right?
right, like both feel not great.
Right. And I'm like, I understand that Jimmy is fearful that if they have a son, they're never having kids together, that if they have a son, it's more likely from what probably is the perspective here, it's more likely that he'll be interested in sports than Broadway. But like his mom maybe wouldn't let him pursue his genuine interests, which are more likely to be sports. And in that very likely scenario, why wouldn't he be allowed to pursue that? Which is a little bit like, yeah, you don't know what your son, if you really expose your son to all of these things, maybe he would love musical theater. We don't have to freak out
He
at the
might
thought of him doing
love
musical
both.
theater.
My one of
Right.
my best friends, her teenage son is obsessed both with football and musical theater
Some
because
of
boys
some of
contain multitudes.
they do, and some of the like frequent stars in my high school plays were like football players who are just
Same,
like
same. I
I
went to a high school where I was a musical theater kid, and so many of the male leads were like basketball and football players.
I think there can be an element of like permission giving in the male mind that's like I'm proving my masculinity by being a star
Mm.
athlete and now it's okay for me to like indulge my interest in the arts. That's fucking dark. That you even would have to that you would be encouraged to think that way, but I do think there can be an element of that. But regardless, a lot of men are not exposed enough to the possibility that they might love the arts. At the same time, if your son doesn't want to be on Broadway,
He
you
doesn't have
gotta
to be.
he doesn't have to be, and, like, that's okay too, and so Jimmy is like, "I just want you to be open to different views of, like, what our children could do, because I want my son to be happy." Like, it would be sick if he, like, went to Broadway, but,
At
like,
first, I thought he was saying it would be sick if he, and then
it would be
and then I
disgusting.
re-under, like
Like,
I was like,
sick.
oh no, he means like that would be sick.
Yeah, but, like, what
But
if he doesn't wanna go to
the tone was
Broadway?
a little too neutral at first, and I was like, oh no, Jimmy, what direction are you taking this?
But Allie's like, "Yes, you want your son to be happy, but he'll be happier on the stage."
I just found this kind of hilarious. She also
But
is correct that to be concerned about CTE
yeah,
with
she's like, "He won't
football.
be playing football," and I was like, "Okay, I'm on her side with
Yeah,
this."
yeah.
I was
Jimmy, of
just like,
course, played football in high school.
whenever people on these shows talk about having kids, everything they say is alarming. It's like, "Here's how many kids I'm gonna have of each gender, whether they will be twins or not, like, what order they'll be in, and here's what they'll be interested in." And I'm like, you're not in charge of any of that.
Luckily,
Like, you
it's
have
all
other
fake,
stuff you need to
Claire.
figure out. I know, but I do feel like it contributes to this sense that, like, we design our families in this way. Like, there are things that you can actually talk about with parenting that are within your control to plan and to get on the same page about. And instead, you're sitting here being like, I can't wait to have twin girls and then one boy. Are you morons? Like, what are you talking about?
That's not how that works.
Ugh, you're not prepared. Okay, so they all go back to their pairs, and then the next morning, the singles get to select their dates. And Jimmy S chooses Allison. Kayla chooses Chris because he's smart and intellectual? Question mark.
Footage not found.
Dave chooses Mackenzie, and Natalie and Allie, who both made out with him, are chagrined. But of course, he hasn't had a chance to make out with Mackenzie yet, so it's her turn. Kayla and Chris do body painting on a surfboard and they really connect. When they return, Kayla tells the other women that it went really, really well and they kissed in the ocean. Unfortunately, Mackenzie was hoping that this would not be the case because she and Dave go harvest bananas and make banana splits and do not have a great time.
It's just a little stilted and awkward. Like, it's giving Friends. Like, they're literally
Yeah.
talking about how Dave feels about Allie during their date, which is not a great sign.
Right. Well, and I was like, these are actually two people who are on the show because they are like hot, but they have minimal skills at navigating these kinds of competitive dating scenarios. So they're both like in their heads, wondering about the other connections, awkwardly talking to each other about the other connections. Like, there's no one on this date to make it playful, make it flirty, like, kind of bring that out. And so they're both just sitting there, like, reflecting anxiety back and forth to each other. And Mackenzie is starting to hope that Chris had a bad time and will rematch with her. But unfortunately, he went on a date with a professional seductress from Too Hot to Handle. So he had a really great time. Jimmy and Allison walk through a local market and he tells her that he was leaning toward Mackenzie, but then he and Allison just clicked. She says she's very cautious about jumping into serious relationships because her parents got divorced when she was 12. And he says that he craves a 50-50 relationship that centers unity as a couple, which
Okay.
is beautiful.
That is beautiful. And afterwards, it's clear that these two have so much better of a connection than Allison has with Yaman. She's still kind of interested in Nick, but I was like, girl, no, go for Jimmy. If the choices are Nick and Jimmy, go for Jimmy.
I just have, sorry, Nick?
Yeah.
Was she interested in Nick?
Yes.
What about Damari?
I think she's given up by this point on Damari. She's like, he's not budging.
Every time Nick comes up, I have to pause for like 10 seconds to remember who he is. My brain was just scrolling through the dudes on the show and
Well,
being like, nope, that's
you
Jimmy.
want to
Nope.
forget him, and that's really fair.
He doesn't figure much into the action because he, again, was not on a competitive dating show and has no game. Episode 3, Chris comes back in floating on air after his date with Kayla, and he tells the guys that he, quote, feels like he hasn't had this feeling in a really long time. And Jimmy P is like, didn't you say that last night about Mackenzie?
Well done, Jimmy. Thank you for calling this out.
And all the guys start laughing, and Chris has to be like, but actually,
It's
like,
real this
actually,
time. I was just
it's
doing
real
love
this time."
bombing when I said it before. She wouldn't take my Louis Vuitton wallet. I have to give it to
Right.
another woman.
In the moment, he admits that he like has this problem and he has to slow down, but he kind of always frames it as like, I fall in love too quickly, like I give too much too quickly. I'm like, no, that's not what's going on. You're just every time that a woman is in front of you, you're so determined to like win her that you love bomb her, and then you get immediately
Yeah.
distracted by the next woman who walks in front of you. Which is like the classic love bombing problem, is that you shower them with love and then your behavior changes in a way that is like confusing or harmful to them. But not with Kayla, because he immediately loves Kayla. This is the perfect relationship, and they agree to match.
Jimmy S is fielding many ladies: Allie, Allison, Mackenzie. Dave, meanwhile, is chatting it up with Natalie and shares that his ex from Married at First Sight didn't like dogs. And
And he's
also,
like,
he will be
"Why?
having
Just
twin girls. As you said, he is engineering his family.
at least one person from this show or any similar show like this, if kids come up, one of them will say they want twins. Like, and what gender they'll
And
be.
you know how you can choose that.
It's like so maddening. Like, you're 37, read a book. Mackenzie felt like her date with Dave was awkward, but she's also like, I'm running low on options. Like, Chris immediately just matched with Kayla, and so I have to give Dave another chance. So she does chat with Dave again. They have another very boring conversation,
Ugh.
and they agree to match. Jimmy P keeps saying that Allie, quote, has grown on him and he likes that she's unpredictable and that he doesn't understand her at all, which again, more and more, I'm just like, you're convincing yourself that you like this
Like,
person's personality.
Okay. He's
I
like,
like
she's
her
just a real
personality.
wild card. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah. He does keep trying to explore things with Natalie, but it just, like, never really
She's not
takes
into
off.
him. Not even a
Yeah.
little.
She had a little curiosity at the beginning, but again, I think it's just because there was no good option that she
Yeah,
saw.
it's just no.
And so Jimmy and Allie end up matching again, and Allie is really pleased that she is officially explored with Dave, and Jimmy handled it with maturity. And this is where I really got the sense, which keeps coming up again through this first drop, that Allie has an idea in mind of like the right way to play the game, that she should match with
Yeah,
someone,
I
but
think you're
still
right.
explore. And it's good when you explore, but then it reaffirms your relationship and you keep growing that connection. I think that they all have come in with a certain mindset about how they should move through the game that is making it less fluid and fun to
You also
watch.
they're just not good at hiding their plans. Like, they're
Yeah.
all just telling them to you.
Right. Like, Allie, don't sit down and tell me how happy you are that you explored with Dave, but now you've grown your relationship with Jimmy. I know that you're using show strategy talk right now. You're like, I checked the box of exploring with Dave, thank God. Nick and Natalie. Also, I'm really thrown that there's a Nick and Natalie couple because, of course, the Nick and Natalie from the Vile Files are always being talked about. And I'm like, why are they here? And then my brain is like, no, Claire, it's the Nick that you keep forgetting is on this show. And Natalie, they are slightly on the outs because they both made out with other people the night before. And they make up, but the spark seems a little dimmed after this because it was very frail to begin with. And whenever they talk, he's just like, I don't know. I don't know. You're just like mad cute and like sexy and sweet and like you have a nice butt and like I don't know, I just like, yeah, no, it's cool. Like, how can you stand to like have a conversation? Meanwhile, Yemen has been wondering if he can maybe take his Temptation Island friendship with Natalie to another level. And they've had this like bond throughout. They were on the
It's
same season of
sweet.
Temptation Island. Yeah, they've been like confiding in each other. And he's clearly been a little bit trying to see if there is an in for him, but not wanting to push it. And finally, he seems to see an opening. Like things aren't good with her match. She's not matching with anyone new. Maybe this is his spot. She's getting a little flirty with him, like waving her fan, being like, "Ooh, I'm sweaty." And he's like, "Oh, she's feeling the vibe." So he finally tells her that he doesn't want to risk their friendship, but he does want to ask her to match with him. And she happily agrees and they kiss. And she's like, "Yemen was standing right in front of me the whole time."
What a love story.
Again, I'm just like, you guys are like narrativizing your hoped for story arcs to the
And none of it is
camera.
earned. None of it
Yeah.
is earned. Nick is just desperately trying to secure a connection and it's slipping away from him.
Yeah.
He pulls Allison aside and he tells the camera that girls can sense false compliments. So he showers Allison with false compliments.
No, he's like, they can tell when they're not real. So I'm just going to go just shower her with compliments because I want something from her. Like, what a strategy.
It's giving Mr. Collins, but like,
I feel like he's always like, oh, I have such a reputation in Miami for like pulling chicks and like I work in this fast paced competitive office. Like, no, you're blonde and like 6'3" probably and like clean cut and you have money. You probably roll up to a club and buy a bottle for a pretty girl and it's fucking easy.
for sure.
This is not that.
He's mad that it's less easy for him in this moment.
100%. Like, he actually does not have the skills that it takes to compete outside of that context of maybe being the tallest, blondest, richest guy in any given, like, club VIP area that he's in.
But
And
Allison is just like not that into him because
it's
she is
actually
more
so funny.
into Jimmy S.
And he keeps being like, "You're so pretty and cool," and she just says, "Thank you," and her eyes look completely dead and
She's
expressionless.
over it. She was like, I had a brief like question about Nick and it's been answered.
Yeah, I'm not enjoying this. She notably does not reciprocate any of his compliments. He calls her a tater tot directly to her face, and this might be endearing if you have a huge crush on a guy for him to call you a tater tot, but I don't think it's having the desired effect. It feels a little bit like a neg, to be honest.
It's weird.
Allison swerves this attempt because she just wants to match with Jimmy S. And so she goes and chats with Jimmy S. And he says their date was too good to be true. And he asks her to match. She is thrilled. She's like, I might just fuck around and make him my boyfriend. We'll see. At this point, actually, I'm having the most hope for them to leave the show together of anyone, but things can change fast on Perfect Match. Nick is left hanging, reflecting on how maybe he could have played his cards differently or been less emotionally closed off. But he says, I don't have any regrets in this entire life. The cookie just kind of crumbled in a different direction.
Okay.
He seems super drunk at this point, to be fair, but okay. So this brings us to the next day's challenge. This is more of like the challenge they're all always preparing for, which is the how well do you know each other challenge.
Yeah, they've just been asking each other random questions during pillow talk in order to prepare for this. And it hasn't paid off because they're bad at it.
Yeah. And it's like they all took like questionnaires like to assess this stuff. So don't they kind of have a sense of what facts they need to convey?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know how this is done. It also could have been done in like intake surveys months before.
Still, I would think that there would be some sort of like whisper of a like, oh, I guess I should tell him about my five some or about the time I broke my elbow. Like, I don't
They
know.
don't.
I'm being unfair because I've never been through this process. So basically, they take turns standing on planks and answering true or false questions about their partner. And if they're wrong, they get dunked into this like murky looking small pond and eliminated. Unless this was heavily edited, they're almost all terrible at this. Hopefully, they cut out many rounds of them all getting questions right about each other. But I noticed a couple interesting trends.
There are some patterns.
The men really have a tendency to fall prey to the not my sweet angel
Yeah, they're like
fallacy.
none of these women have done sexual things.
Right. And like to be fair, there's an element of like preservation of the relationship there. Like if you're wrong,
Assuming,
you don't
yeah.
right. There is a different tension there with your female partner being like, you thought that I would do that if she didn't. But
They
it
all did
means
the thing.
they all did the thing. It means that they end up saying false to a lot of things that those women absolutely did do. I was like, Yemen, you met Natalie on Temptation Island, and now you are pearl clutching over the possibility that she once had a consensual, fun orgy with her friends. Like, please.
Yeah, calm down. And it's interesting, as you pointed out, the women kind of go the other way. They're like, obviously, Dave must have lost his virginity at 14. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, I was like 20. And they're all like, weird.
Or like Allison assumes that Jimmy S does have a small hand fetish.
And Jimmy's like, I mean, I just don't
Think
go
about
after
it.
women because of their tiny hands, which
Yeah, she's like, I'm small, so he must have a fetish for small hands. And he's like, I don't. She's like, oh no. Then you must not be into me. And he's like, no, it's fine. I just don't care about hands.
small hand fetish is such a specific thing.
Yeah. Marissa and Damari actually really do well. They avoid some of
do.
these pitfalls. Like they're willing to say, yes, my partner did the thing that maybe seems embarrassing. And it does seem like they have been having some extremely rich and detailed conversations about each other. They don't miss a single question. They're the only couple at the end where both of them are still standing there, and they win without either of them being eliminated. So they head off on another romantic date, and she tells the camera that she's not open to other people and hopes to confirm that he feels the same. And I mean, that's basically what happens. Like, he's like, I'm locked in on Marissa. It's hard to think about wanting to match with anyone else. They talk about, he's like, where would you want to go when we win?
Ooh, diabolical.
Yeah. They'd also talk about her time on Love is Blind. And he's like, how would you feel if your ex showed up? And for a moment, I was like, oh my God, is he going to be here?
No.
He's not here.
I wish.
That would be
fun.
wild. They couldn't pull a couple with quite that like Clayton and Rachel level of mess this season.
Damn, that gave us
That
so much content.
That was a real train wreck. So they're feeling really great and both like confident and locked in on each other. Meanwhile, the others are enjoying a rousing game of charades. Jimmy P is nailing a Nick Lachey impression when the actual Nick Lachey slinks in to announce a surprise elimination. And first, he's very sneakily asked them all how they're feeling about their matches. And Yeaman like clicks his fingers together and is like, the reviews are tea so far about Natalie. And he's like, is that how you say it? And I'm like, Yeaman, I don't know. Like, I
Damon,
don't
we're
know.
older than you.
Yes, I need feedback on this as well. Like, is that what the kids are saying? Let us
I'm
know.
like, how old is Gaiman? 31.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the thing. Youth culture moves so fast. I look at a 31-year-old and I'm like, you guys are in the mix. You get it. And
I
no.
he's a zillennial. Like he's a I think technically still a millennial.
No, the 30-year-olds on the show are like the elders and they do not know the slang.
And they like look at Dave and they're like, "You're in the grave, my friend."
Yeah. And Jimmy P says he feels good about Allie, but this is a game show, unlike Love is Blind, so he wants to win. Why would you say that in front of everyone? Like, what
Jimmy,
was his motivation here?
Jimmy, this was a very stupid thing to say.
This was not
And then
strategic.
suddenly Nick is like, "Well, and now we will be voting on who is here for the wrong reasons."
Right. It's like we just had one person basically say, I'm here for the wrong reasons.
So, who do you think?
Fortunately, these votes are always a little bit more about
Who is
social
your friend
connections in the
that's been
house.
there for the longest?
Right. And otherwise, I think he would have gone home hands down. As it is, he still almost goes home because that was such a self-destructive thing to say. And he just like basically
Sir.
drew an entire giant target around himself. It's time for them to vote on who has the least genuine intentions, which always sends a chill down my spine also because then all the reality stars have a chance to start talking about how disingenuine and ingenuine other people are, and they all use like every obsolete or not real word to say not
Have we
genuine.
forgotten about disingenuous?
Disingenuous, not genuine, fake. Like there's so many ways to say this. Disingenuine is not a real word. Ingenuine, I looked it up, was recorded by the OED in the 1600s and has not been officially used before since. So like, I'm sorry, these are not real words. Um, and most people vote just based on strategy or social ties. So Mackenzie and Dave want her ex Chris gone. Mackenzie also wants Allison gone so that she can pursue Jimmy Sotos. But ultimately, Kayla is the most vulnerable woman because she is new and she and Allison react to her being sent away from the villa like she was convicted of murder. Like, they're like, this is so unjust. She hasn't done anything wrong. None of them have done anything wrong. Kayla's weeping. Allison is like, she is really genuine, and this is wrong. What's happening today?
Allison is just like, God damn it. My friend was here only for a day. I had a
No, it
friend.
sucks. It does suck, but like, this is actually not wrong. It's simply how the game works. Allie points out quite reasonably that it's not about that. She's like, any of us would say that about our best friend. That's not really the point.
Right. And she's just literally been there for the least time.
Right, it's like laying off by seniority or like,
Yeah.
who's most junior. Like, it's just the least personal way to do it, actually. Kayla puts on the tone of a martyr and says that this vote was supposed to be for the right reasons, and she had a real connection she barely got to explore. She demands a break to hit her vape, but we move right along and discover that Chris and Jimmy P are tied. So Marissa and Damari get to break the tie when they return. This was interesting. Marissa goes to battle for her Love is Blind brother, while Damari makes the case for Chris.
I know.
I didn't realize that Damari felt so much closer to Chris than Jimmy P.
I did want to see more Jimmy P, so I'm glad that he didn't
Yeah.
get sent home.
I wonder if it was also related to like, well, if Chris is still in the house, then Kayla can come back. Like they're more tied into the
Mm,
Too Hot to Handle universe. And this is the tough thing. They send Chris away because Marissa wins, but that means that there's really no way for Kayla and Chris to get back in the house without pursuing another relationship, which neither of
Yeah.
them wants to do and which would like undermine the perception of their couplehood. So this is like a death knell for them.
So Marissa and Damari head back into the boardroom.
They see 4 new singles on the board. We've got Cassie from Love Island, an early season, which I have not seen.
She
They can,
also was, she did return in season 6 and briefly had a thing with Rob Roush.
which I also haven't
Yeah.
seen. So, but yeah, they consider her as an option for Jimmy P because he loves brunettes. Damari thinks that Jimmy deserves better than Allie because she flirted with Dave. So we got to hook him up.
Calm down, Damari.
And we've got Sophie from Love is Blind UK. You may remember her as the like tightly wound blonde whom they consider for Jimmy S. And because he likes blondes, like I feel like the men are always just like, what hair color does the woman that he's currently matched with have? And is there one of those on here?
Okay,
He'll
but they're like
probably
often right.
they're often right, but also like Sophie and Jimmy S don't actually have any
No,
reason
they're
that they
not.
would
They're not
vibe.
actually really correct about Sophie and Jimmy S, but they are right about Cassie and Jimmy P. He's
Well,
like, I
again,
do love brunettes.
I do think that Jimmy P is also just like a hot woman is here. And like, who would have thought that I would be considered by a hot woman? Let's go with it. They also, with Sophie, are like, well, maybe she could get with Dave and that might open things up for Mackenzie because we know Mackenzie has wanted to pursue Jimmy S some more. They haven't really accounted for Allison in that, but what can you do? Bree is again on the board, and Marissa again really wants to bring in Bree to tempt Ye from his solid connection with Natalie.
She's just not going to win this one because Damari does not want to bring his ex-girlfriend into the house.
Right. He's like, how do I benefit? Catherine
That's
from
how he
Too Hot to
benefits.
Handle. Catherine. Again, I remembered Catherine.
Catherine just is one of those people that is like, seems to be kind of universally appealing.
Yeah.
And that was true on Too Hot to Handle. It's also true on Perfect Match.
Yeah. She's just so gorgeous and outgoing and like has that sort of like childlike silliness that people find really disarming. And she's just like the whole package. Damari pushes really hard for Catherine because they're close. She's gorgeous and bubbly. She'll go for everyone. And Marissa's like, including you. And he's like, yep. And Marissa's like, should I be concerned? And he's like, maybe.
Yikes, yikes, yikes.
I feel like last night he told her that he planned to win with her.
Well, he couldn't see himself being with anyone else that was there.
That was there. Yeah. And now he knows that Kit Kat is there, as he calls her.
So the couples are lounging around waiting for Marissa and Damari to come back from the boardroom. And we learn that Jimmy S does not know that roosters and hens are chickens.
He's like, so the hen is the third gender and the rooster is a different animal. And Allison and Mackenzie are like, am I crazy? No. They're
It's all just chickens. So that's just a little aside. But Marissa and Damari do return, and they have decided to bring 3 new women into the house. And I'm just going to say, I'm sure Marissa couldn't really push back, but like maybe should have pushed for just 2. It's a lot of threats for yourself and the other women.
Yeah,
It just sucks to be Marissa in
Yeah.
this situation. It's like your only power is choosing one woman not to bring in, and everyone is like also a threat to your relationship because you're not sending anyone on a date.
Right. Everyone's just going to be here hanging out with Damari. They head back into the house. Cassie, Sophie, and Catherine were the picks. Cassie is ready to fall in love. Also, she's horny 24/7. She looks hot, and Jimmy P is like, yes, I'm into it. And Sophie from Love is Blind UK was also picked. She says she knows she has resting bitch face.
I
Correct.
am really enjoying Sophie on this show.
Well, one of the reasons that people turned on her on Love is Blind UK is that she kept engaging flirtatiously with someone who was engaged to one of the other women. And this format is just much more conducive to that kind of cutthroat sexual
Yeah, and
competitiveness.
she has just like that competitive edge, but she also is from Love is Blind, so she values good conversation. She has like a sharpness about her that I really enjoy. This is just like a better format for her
Yeah.
personality.
Well, and I feel that often with women on the show, it's just hard to watch because they do get emotionally invested, sometimes much quicker than the men do. And when you have like a Francesca Farrago or someone who n- is a little bit more exacting
And
and
armored.
armored, it can be more fun to watch because you don't have that like
Sick
fear,
feeling in your
sick
soul.
feeling. Exactly. You're like, she's fine. Dave thinks she looks like a cute little muffin doll. These men
Okay.
need to stop trying to describe the women. Catherine does come into the house. She dated Louis Russell during his final appearance on Too Hot to Handle, one of her memorable moments. She says she's a lover girl and a weirdo. She wants to get married and have kids. All of the men are like, obviously, Catherine is the hottest one. And
And
she
what's
is,
interesting is that they're all like, of course we'll match with Catherine. And then they are reminded that they might have connections that are a little deeper with the person they've been with.
yeah, something to consider. They're
Yeah.
all just like, well, if Catherine asked me to match, I would obviously throw everything away to do that. And she and Damari have this close relationship already, so that really puts Marissa on edge. But Catherine is also very intrigued by Jimmy S.
They fucking all are. Dave immediately pulls Sophie. He's like, I love her Julia Roberts smile. And then
Her what?
Julia Roberts
But
smile.
right, but like, does she have one? I would
No,
never compare her smile
look,
to Julia
he's just like,
Roberts.
I know a few things about romance. Julia Roberts and The Notebook.
It's just funny because Julia Roberts has a very
Like
distinctive and
wide smile.
specific
And
wide
Sophie sort of
smile.
has like a small face.
It's more like
Like
a
small.
rosebud mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It then
It's
he uses the opportunity to make a gross joke where he says, but find a hooker on the streets and change her to a good girl. I'm not doing that.
Did he just
Ew.
make this whole comparison to Julia Roberts just so he could make a gross sex worker joke
Yes,
about Pretty Woman?
correct.
This is why men use their knowledge about great romance
It's for
films for
evil.
evil. That's why it's a red flag. Sophie says that Dave is her normal type looks wise and they have good banter, but Jimmy also connects with Jimmy S. Everyone does. Catherine is really into Jimmy. He is bantering away. They bond over Frozen, ADHD, and tooth gems. It's truly just like literally is like having a conversation with a TikTok. Like this combination of topics is just like this is a viral video. Jimmy P also shoots his shot with Catherine because Allie is still entertaining Dave. But in the middle of their conversation, Catherine and Damari start bantering with each other across the pool and kind of like forget about him. Catherine seems open to matching with Damari. They have all this history. And I was sort of intrigued that she did not go for him first, because if you're trying to break up a couple, the more of a foothold, a more of like you can get your hooks into that new person, the better. And she already has her hooks like halfway into Mari.
I just sort of got the sense that the two of them are like, feel very close to each other, are intrigued by each other, but ultimately do see each other more as like flirty friends.
They've never like gone there before, so why now?
Yeah.
Yeah. But strategically, I was like, I don't know. Maybe that would have given her a better chance because there's always a disadvantage when the person that you match with, that you go on a date with, hasn't had enough time to get to know you as their current match. But Marissa's feeling really anxious, so she calls Damari over to tell him that she's annoyed because,
I hated this. This was a really bad move. Like again,
yeah,
like Catherine has not even made a play for Damari in a real way. And she's just like,
yeah,
but you're really good friends with this person and it's going to take away from me. And I get the instinct and I relate to it, but it's just one of those feelings that you probably just need to like work through on your own and not put on your partner.
I have like a slightly different perspective, which is that if your partner suddenly starts acting more distant when their hot opposite sex friend that you know they think is hot is around,
But did it
I
even
can.
happen yet? Like she seems to be speaking to the fact that it's going to change. She's not saying like
No, she
I
says we're always to like right next to each other, and like you're not being like that right now.
yeah, maybe she's picking up on something that I'm not quite seeing and
She's
like
like seeing
express
that the guy who has always been like giving her attention and having banter with her is now like gravitating towards his hot friend.
maybe
And
you're
like
right. I
what my
just
take on this is not that this was the right move, but I could see a context where I would say something else. The thing is that it's not strategic because they're so new and
yeah.
they don't have a solidified enough relationship yet for him to like absorb this and just be like, this is what like. I need to accommodate her feelings or talk it through to make my partner that I love feel comfortable. He's like, this girl that I'm dating is making things difficult and complicated for me, and maybe I should just cut my losses. It's like he doesn't have the investment in her yet for her to kind of pull on this like particular string, I think. I saw what she was seeing and I would have been freaked out too, but it wasn't going to have the effect that she wanted to tell him like, "You're making me anxious. I don't like that you're giving attention to Catherine, and I won't handle it well if like you decide you do want to explore things with her."
I that's the part that bothered me. Like I don't think you
Yeah.
can say like I'm not going to be okay if you choose you want to explore something with someone else. Like that
Yeah.
might be true, but like what that just puts like a lot of pressure on a new relationship in a way that is
Yeah.
not going to allow for like ease. And at the beginning,
Yeah.
I think you need some ease.
She says, "I'm allowed to be possessive." And like everyone is allowed to feel how they feel, but he's also allowed to say, "Well, I'm no longer enjoying this connection. So it's over." So I, yeah, I feel like there was maybe a way after the evening was over in private or something to be like, "You have
Yeah.
said things to me that really led me to think that you are super invested in this, and your behavior tonight didn't come across that way to me, and I wanna talk through where our heads actually are at
See, I think
and
that
whether
to
things
me,
have
that's a
shifted."
completely different thing. I think it's coming from the same place, maybe
Yeah.
reacting to the same thing, but that is like, yes, I think that that would have been the way to handle it.
But, like,
So Damari
then things
leaves.
won't be messy for us, so
True. So Damari leaves this conversation and immediately actually goes to chat with Cassie, not Catherine, and be like, "You have a great body. Maybe I would explore with you."
yeah. He's like, We have to be tested, so I might as well go test myself by seeing how attracted I am to all the hot women." And Cassie is really excited to talk to Damari because he's 29, his frontal lobe has fully formed, and she needs that. Um,
She also hits it off with Jimmy P though, because she's a
yes.
brunette and he likes
Yeah.
that.
They bond over the love that they share for having sex in, like, illicit spots.
Like the handicap bathroom at Disney World.
Jimmy,
That's uh,
Jimmy.
this is not me kink shaming. This is just that's a sanitary question. Like
And, like,
public.
those bathrooms are for people who need
To
accessible
be fair, he
bathrooms, Jimmy.
does say he feels bad about that.
And he said it didn't take long.
And
And
I do believe it.
Cassie looks sort of like she's, like, not sure whether to be relieved that he didn't take up the bathroom for long or upset that he finished so quickly. She's like, "Okay, moving on." She says she has to have sex at least twice a day.
Sounds exhausting, but
Uh,
to be
when I was
24.
when I was 24, it didn't sound exhausting. He also chats with Sophie, and they bond over getting a bunch of hate from the Love Is Blind audience.
That'll bond ya.
Yeah. So the next morning, the singles pick their dates, and Catherine decides to invite Jimmy S. Cassie picks Jimmy P. Sophie, unfortunately, also wanted to ask out one of the Jimmies.
She's like, well, I guess I'm left with Dave then.
We've got Jimmy fever around here. They're all like, there aren't enough Jimmys to go around. We actually need to bring in a third
No, I
Jimmy.
really think what's happening is that there are two Jimmys who both make eye contact and seem to know how to
Yeah.
hold a conversation. Damari can also hold a conversation, but that's a whole thing.
That's a whole
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Within this villa, we have two Jimmys, and one of them likes blondes and one of them likes brunettes. Hallelujah. So she is left with Dave, who she believes may be giving red flag vibes, and that she keeps saying that he's a red flag, and he seems to be working really hard to not be offended by this. This leaves Allie, Mackenzie, and Allison all a little nervous because their dudes are off on dates.
And their
And-
backup dudes are also on dates.
Right. The guys in the house at this point are just like chopped liver. They're like, no one needs to deal with them. Marissa encourages Mackenzie to express her feelings to Jimmy S. regardless, like before it's too late. Meanwhile, Allie has been really entertaining things heavily with Dave, but the longer Jimmy P is gone, the more Allie starts to realize that she misses him. And I think she had started to like drift towards like, I'm actually going to switch to Dave.
Yeah.
But with Jimmy being gone, she's like, but
Wait,
where's my Jimmy?
I like him.
And the women have to be like, are you sure you like him? And not just like that you're used to him. Like you could get to know Dave just as well if you spent like 2 days with him. Maybe you're overvaluing your time together. Cassie and Jimmy P have a beach picnic / tailgate and feed each other grapes. And Cassie is like, oh, so you're from Love is Blind. So that means you don't care about looks.
And Jimmy's like, whoa, ma'am, please.
Yeah. One of the main reasons men, especially, and also some women go on Love is Blind is to force themselves to have a relationship that is even remotely functional instead of entirely predicated on his physical attraction to the other person.
It also never works.
It never works. And that's why he is single. He's like, no, I do care about looks, but I won't go on a second date if there's not also an emotional connection. Cassie shares that her older sister was in a car accident and sustained a traumatic brain injury, which is really awful.
Super sad.
And she says it has made her choose to live life every day to the fullest and like really enjoy it because
Yeah, she's
you
like,
don't-
it's not
nothing's
promised.
guaranteed.
It's not
Yeah.
promised to us. And the date overall seems to go really well. They seem to have a connection. They make out on the beach. Like, okay,
Yeah.
is Jimmy going to jump ship from Allie?
Meanwhile, Catherine and Jimmy S have like some sort of aquatic healing therapy date. It really made me think of what show was that? I feel like was it, you know what? I think it was New Girl where Nick like goes to the pool and like,
I'm sorry. I have watched New Girl, but I just don't have memory.
I'm like, I'm very forgetful. He like, Nick from New Girl like goes to the pool and makes this friend who like cradles him in the pool and it like
Well, that's
is
what they're
emotionally
doing
healing
here.
for him.
They were doing
Um,
Janzu.
Yeah, exactly. They do some Janzu and bond until Jimmy gets stung by a bee and like drops Cat in the pool as a result. And that kind of brings it to an end. But they have so many things in common, allegedly. She's very beautiful, accurate, and Kat thinks he has Riz. And then she's like, what do the Gen Z people say? Again, Kat is like 30. She's like, I don't
think
even
she's
know anymore.
29. It's like, wow. Yeah, I guess she is kind of like the last millennial, or like she's a cusper.
After they get out of the pool because she doesn't want to get dropped again, she's like, what are you into outside of basketball? And he's like, I'm so glad you asked because everyone just reduces me to basketball, but I'm so much more than that. For example, I want to own a coffee shop and live above the coffee shop. And
You should talk to Jared and Ashley
yeah,
about
I also
Audrey's.
love this like walkable urban community lifestyle that he's dreaming of. He's like, I don't just want a coffee shop. I want to just like work where I live where I work. Like I don't need a car.
Do you
know?
think
I
that
just
this
walk
is like
downstairs.
this is like the new faraway fantasy for
Yes.
like Gen Zers who are influencers? Like everything's so ephemeral, everything is online, it's transactional. He's like, I want a brick and mortar business. I want to live
Yeah.
above that business. I want to walk out my door and into my coffee shop. And I love that for
Probably.
you, Jimmy.
I think it's like how millennials grew up in suburbs and then were like, I really need to live in a vibrant urban center where I
That's
can
me.
walk everywhere. Exactly. We crave what we've been denied. Kat talks about how she wants to keep working in fashion, but she also wants to give back to people who share her Indigenous heritage. She has this
Yeah,
like
it's a little unclear
profit
what the actual
sharing.
business model will be, but
Right.
I loved the idea of it.
Yeah. She's like, these communities really need like more investment, and like, I want to be part of that. And Jimmy's like, oh, you got a good heart. She's like, yes.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Sophie and Dave learn about how mezcal is produced and do a tasting. And Sophie just, from what we can see, just grills Dave about whether he can do more than flirty banter and like, is he a red flag?
And he's like, no, I'm actually very emotionally intelligent.
I love the Notebook. Ever heard of it?
Back at the villa, Allie iconically is talking to Natalie about how like she's torn between Jimmy and Dave, but they're both off on dates. And she's like, when this episode's playing, it's going to be me sitting here and it's showing Jimmy and Dave literally making out with their girls. Like, who's Allie? Cut to Jimmy making out with Cassie on the beach.
And Dave making out with Sophie
Sophie.
at the mezcal
I was
tasting.
like, I love this choice by the Netflix editors, and I love that Allie knew they would do that.
Yeah. I mean, it is one of those moments where there is a charm to breaking the fourth wall and to knowing the format so well, but I also do think it's part of what is making this season overall kind of blah.
Yeah.
So it giveth and it taketh away. This brings us to episode 5. Oh my God, we're almost there. And back at the villa, 3 women are going home tonight. All of the women have been waiting for their matches to come home from these dates, and they're all dolled up. And as Yemen tells us, at least if they go home, they'll go home looking like baddies. Baddies over saddies. Thank you, Yemen. Jimmy P and Cassie are the first to return, and they are holding hands. Allie is not pleased. Kat and Jimmy S are next, and then Sophie and Dave. And Mackenzie seems to know from what she sees that she's probably fucked. I don't even know if she really is aware of the fact that Dave was almost ready to jump ship to Allie.
I think Mackenzie just knows she and Dave don't have a connection. Like they like each
Yeah.
other, but they don't like each other.
Right. Whereas Allie is like, I had 2 kind of sure things, and now it seems like
maybe 0.
maybe 0. Allie and Jimmy P have a check-in, and he says the date went really, really well. They had deep conversation. They shared a kiss. He's like, if I met Cassie in the real world, I would definitely be really trying to get a second date with
And
her.
so Allie's sort of like, okay.
Okay. So Allie clearly at this point is like, well, that's not going to be a thing for me. Let's see where things are at with Dave. But first we see Dave sit down with Mackenzie and is just very straightforward with
I
her.
actually loved this exchange. I thought it was so respectful. I was like, what a great model for how you can just say the thing, be straight up, and like leave someone feeling respected even if they're being rejected. He's like,
Right.
I really care about you, Mackenzie. I think you're like an amazing person. I love you, but I am looking for more of a spark with someone. You are like very reserved. I just think that's not what I'm really looking for. And this is pretty easy for Mackenzie to take because ultimately she agrees.
Yeah. She's like, I'm so glad you brought this up. Great conversation. We're good. Like, I'm going to go talk to Jimmy S now. She basically is like, I'm glad you brought this up because I really want to pursue someone else because we don't have a spark.
he's
And
like,
Dave is like,
"Go for
oh,
it."
okay. Yeah, great.
Sophie also checks in with Mackenzie, which I thought was sweet. She was like, I just want to let you know, like, the date went well with Dave. And Mackenzie's like, great, yes, go for it. And Sophie encourages Mackenzie to go for Jimmy S.
See, everyone's being too respectful. I really need people to be messier. Jimmy S seems torn between Kat and Allison, the 2 types of women. I mean, he's dating a brunette. Is that really going to work? One thing we know from seeing him date on TV for 2 days.
He likes blondes.
He likes blondes.
But they are the 2 types of wine.
Yeah, he says, "Allison is like a nice Bordeaux, classy but still fruitful."
Does he mean like fruit forward?
I think he must mean fruit
Yeah.
forward. Fruitful, like it's bearing much
Yeah.
more Bordeaux. But have a Burgundy and you're like, "Shit, that Bordeaux was ass." I'm sorry.
Okay.
Are you saying that
Rude.
Allison is ass? Because that's incredibly rude.
Also,
Um,
the weird thing is that he's more into Allison than he is into
right,
Catherine.
right. This is clearly all hypothetical because he doesn't think the Bordeaux was ass. It's interesting that he knows both so much and so little about
Yeah.
wine to make this analogy. So what we all know about wine is one varietal is all the same and tastes good, and the other varietal also good. Um, but I also don't know enough about wine. Jimmy tells Kat that she's beautiful and perfect and he wants her to stay. Kat says he's the only guy she wants to match with, and they've been having such deep conversations.
Footage not found.
Maybe it's about the coffee shop.
I guess,
That
yeah, I guess it was
that
about the
was
coffee shop.
spoke to a deep yearning for new urbanism that I think that spoke to her. Allison and Jimmy S finally talk about his date, and Allison is feeling like it's time for her to open up a little bit more. She has kind of a tough exterior and very sharp winged eyeliner that makes some of the men treat her like she is scary,
Oh,
a
like a
scary
literal
tater tot.
witch.
Yeah, they're like, "Are you a baby because you're small, or are you scary because your eyeliner is pointy? I don't know how to feel." Um,
But Jimmy is pretty straightforward. He's like, "I've been feeling conflicted between you and Catherine." And Allison handles this pretty well. She's like, "Look, I get it, but I love spending time with you, and I feel like our connection isn't something you see every day." So they sort of leave things there. She's been clear that she wants him, but like she's not applying too much pressure.
then Mackenzie finally shoots her shot with Jimmy S. And she really lays it all out there that she wanted to go on the date with him, that she has remained really interested in him. And he responds kindly, but is clearly shutting it down. He's like, "You're amazing. You're so great. Um, but I had a great date with Kat. I'm really connecting with Allison. So, it's tough." And Mackenzie is like, "Yeah, okay. I should have said something sooner, but at least I said something." And it's a very nice conversation, but it does not like shift the equation for him. Dave talks to Sophie and he says he wanted to match with Allie, but after their date, he thinks Allie isn't his person. He likes that Sophie is just herself. He asks her to match and she says yes.
After this, Allie understandably thinks she's cooked. And Marissa even admits to Jimmy that if she was in Allie's position with Damari, she'd be freaking out. Immediate cut to a shot of Damari laughing it up with Catherine. But Allie and Jimmy finally sit down for a chat. And Allie is just kind of like, look, if your date with Cassie was really amazing, then you should choose her. But today was clarifying, and she says that she's realized that she wants Jimmy over Dave because he's sweet and perfect and sweet.
I'm like, can you not think of a third adjective? I feel like you can't think of a
Sweet,
third thing that he
sweet
is.
times two.
She says she doesn't want to be open anymore. And Jimmy says he wants Allie. He likes where things are going between them. They both like like each other and they agree to match. I did not see that coming.
Same. It really took a turn. And Allie is just as shocked as us. She's like, wait, you want me? Oh, okay.
Again, I'm just like, whenever they're together, I really catch the vibe from Jimmy that he doesn't understand or like her very
But
much.
he had an out. This is when I was like, maybe he does
Right.
like her because he had a very clear out. She
But
thought it was done.
he I'm torn because I'm like, he had an out, but also there is a strategy in this game that's like
That is
longevity
true.
matters. Did he have a good enough connection with Cassie that he would benefit more from switching to that connection versus the longevity factor that he has with Allie? I don't know. And, like, I don't think he hates Allie. I just think they don't really vibe
I
in this
mean,
way
they're
where
not
it's
gonna
hard for
be
him to.
together.
Right. Right. I think it's hard for him to know how to respond to her in a way that maybe that doesn't mean he doesn't like her, but he feels
Yeah.
I get the sense that he feels kind of uncomfortable and doesn't know how to speak to her, you know? And I'm like, "Really?" But they have the longevity factor. I don't know. Maybe he's really into her. They head right to bed after they match, leaving Cassie to just figure out that she's been dumped, which is honestly how they usually do it on this
Yeah,
show.
it's just so embarrassing for the people that are left. They're just like,
It
"Oh,
is.
my match who just said he's so into me is just gone? Okay, I guess
Yeah.
I'm done here. Great."
Yeah. I do think that the guys this roundabout maybe did not convey very much to their new matches how much they had attachment to their new dates, how
They're
much they were
very out of
attached to their
sight,
old
out of mind,
matches.
though, these men. They're like, there's a hot woman in front of me. She's the
Right.
number one." And then they remember the other hot woman does still exist.
Right. Like, I don't think that there was a franticness to the courtship because I think that the new women were like, "We had an incredible date." And he's like, "You're everything I would want." So it's too bad that he's gonna have to dump his old match.
Right. And then he's like, "But I won't be doing that,
Yeah.
actually."
So Cassie doesn't feel like Jimmy was honest with her. She's like, "Don't trust Jimmy." That's my motto now. Don't trust any of these Jimmys. So Jimmy, other Jimmy S, who is about to be distrusted by another woman whose name starts with a K, is sitting down with Allison to tell her that his gut, which he needs to trust straight up, says that it's her. He thinks that Allison balances him in a way that Kat doesn't because she has a nurturing side. And then he says, in building a home, like we both just be like, motherfucker, like I don't even know the bricks. Who's going to be the soil? You know what I'm saying?
It's like, quite literally do not know what you're saying.
Like he's like, I need a woman that I can rest on top of as I rise above the ground. But Kat is also rising because she is also the bricks. We don't have a foundation. He's like, you are the dirt beneath my bricks. Right? Like I feel like that's
Yeah, I
he's
guess that's where he's going. And
he's like, we need to
Allison's,
balance each other.
you know what? Allison's picking up what he's putting down, and he asks her to match with him. She says yes, and he says she feels like home.
Aw. Kat is shocked. They made plans for their future careers together, and she's so caught off guard that she starts crying. She feels led on. The two new women and Mackenzie are leaving, and the two new women are more distraught than Mackenzie, who's just like, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, Mackenzie's like, I mean, I knew this was coming.
Yeah. Yaman and Natalie decide to rematch. They're glad they're not in the drama. They are really positioning themselves well at this point for the ultimate prize.
Yeah, good vibes.
Everyone loves a friends to lovers, drama free story. Meanwhile, Kat is crying to Marissa and Mackenzie, and Marissa's very supportive until Damari comes over to comfort Kat. Kat tells the camera that with Damari, it's a territory that's still untouched, but things could happen. It must be so weird to just like have friend groups full of just hot people where like it would be so easy to just hook up with a friend.
Yeah.
I feel like I need a very specific chemistry with people normally, but like what if my whole friend group was just unbelievably hot
I
people
mean,
and
it's
I was
also just
unbelievably hot?
it's summer camp vibes. Like it's the kind of thing where it's like everyone here could hook up with everyone. Have we been put in the specific scenario that might allow for
Yeah.
that? And, if you're just seeing each other at like Netflix launch parties, you're sort of like, yeah, we're friends, but like, who knows?
If there's a benefit to being more, we could definitely do the
Right.
benefits. So Kat tells Damari that Jimmy made it seem like he was going to choose her. Now she doesn't know what to do. And he's sort of like, well, is there anyone else that you might want to pursue? And she basically is like, you are the other person that I would consider exploring. And he leaves the conversation torn because he doesn't want to see Kat go home. But obviously, he has this very solid connection. So he pulls Marissa for a chat and he tells her that she makes him feel like himself and he really appreciates her for that. And this does not go over well.
So, what I realized halfway through this conversation is that Damari had actually made his decision and he was gearing up to give Marissa compliments to ask her to match.
Yes.
And she becomes like triggered by the way that he is framing these compliments. Like he doesn't even finish because he picks
Yeah.
up on the fact that like she has become stony. And I couldn't tell exactly what was going on. Like obviously she's triggered, but her eyes look glassy to me. And I was like, is she just drunk and tired?
Yeah. And I think she's already feeling sensitive. Like, oh, he doesn't care as much about this relationship as I
Yeah.
do. Like, he wants to explore things with his hot, sexy friend. And so she's like listening from a negative mindset.
And he's like, I'm doing this nice thing. I'm like about to ask you to match. And it just goes so fucking sideways. It
This
made
is
my skin crawl.
Well, this is the thing. They're having arguments that I feel like you would have much further into a normal relationship.
Yeah.
Like, she gets very stony and says, "Great, you're just another guy who likes me because I make him feel good because of what I
Ugh.
do for him." And that's just like a lot to put on this specific conversation.
If we're being super generous, it's maybe been 2 weeks. And I think less.
Probably less. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely something to be mindful of. And like as women, and I think especially as a Black woman, like that can be something that people are in your life just looking for what you can do for them and like
Absolutely.
how you care for them, how you flatter them, how you stroke their ego, how you nurture them. And she says that's happened to her in the past and I 100% believe that and I can see being very attuned to that.
Definitely.
But this doesn't seem like the moment to start a fight about
It,
it.
it's just, it's 2 a.m. and he's like kind of just offhanded giving, like saying why, like reasons that he likes her. It's just, again, it's like not quite the venue, not quite the framing of how to bring up this concern.
Yeah. And what's now what's happening is she's saying, "Well, you like me because of how good I make you feel." But like we're already starting to turn into the territory where she doesn't make him feel that good. And like even if he liked a lot of other things about her, if she's always making him feel bad because everything he says turns into a fight or because she's constantly like picking at things or getting insecure, he's gonna stop seeing her as someone who makes him feel good, and that is one important component of a relationship. Like
Especially this early.
right, like, it's like, "Oh, this is, like, such a me thing to do." It's
I know.
such a me
Again,
thing to
I
do.
deeply relate to Marissa, which is maybe why I'm like honing in on it. It just,
I know. We're
it's
always,
like,
like, giving ourselves game tape feedback when
yeah,
we
it just
watch these
reminds me
shows.
of a thing that I would do and inevitably fuck up a relationship. Like,
Right,
yeah,
exactly. Because 'cause I'm like, there's again, this is a conversation to, like, keep an eye on this. Are all of his compliments about what you do for him? Can you bring it up with him in a more neutral moment and be like, "I would love to hear more about what you think about me outside of, like, how I do things for you." Rejecting a compliment at this, like, highly fraught moment is, like
it's just not going to have the result that you want.
right. It's not gonna advance the bond in a way that takes you anywhere good. So he seems very taken aback by this. He's like, "Well, I was trying to be specific about why I'm really starting to like you at such an early stage, and like you make me feel comfortable, and that's a really good thing." And she sort of snarkily says back to him, like, "Oh, well, I'm really glad I can do that for you."
And he's like, well, what was that shady? And then she says, yes. And he just seems thrown. He's like, what the hell is happening right now? And Marissa tries to dial it back. She's like, I need a whole moment. I'm just being emotional. She explains that his words made her think about the things she's heard before in other relationships. And she's like, I have ADHD and rejection sensitivity dysphoria. And it just makes me feel rejection, like even when it's not there.
Yeah. Like, I'm picking up on rejection and reacting to it, even if that's not what you were saying. And like, this is a real thing. And I don't know if I technically have this, but I was like, I relate to that. Like,
Same
sure.
again, same. And this is where Damari unfortunately starts to shut down. Like Marissa's trying to dial it back, and he's just not really allowing her to do that. He's like, well, now I'm upset, and there's not really anything you can do about it. You ruined the matching moment. And Marissa's like, okay, well, do you really want to match with me? And Damari is just like, let's just do it. I like don't have the energy for this.
Yeah.
It's a bad vibe.
They have the most miserable match we have ever seen on the show. And Marissa then tells Damari that he's not allowed to be mad at her because her emotions can't take it.
Look, again, something I've tried. Telling someone
Yeah.
they're not allowed to be upset with you usually just makes them more annoyed with you.
Yeah. I mean, if these things were rational, then you would have been able to not be upset with him earlier because that was not
Right.
a strategic move. But here we are. She tells the camera that she's dated men in the past that she's had to elevate or take care of, and she wants an equal partner who can read her mind. She knows that's selfish, but it's how she feels. I actually don't think that's selfish. I think it's perfectly reasonable to want an equal partner that you don't have to constantly look after or instruct or I think it's reasonable to expect you both to be like in a relationship, paying attention to each other, knowing each other,
Reading the
and
room.
supporting each other. That's not what
However,
happened here, though.
yeah, I agree. I also think that like in general, just people can't read each other's minds. And especially at the
No.
beginning of a relationship, y- you do need to kind of lead with generosity, and you do need to explain the things that you're feeling.
Well, and also like she's not reading his mind, right? Like I
Right.
think I think that like sometimes men do this like, well, I can't read minds sort of thing. And there can be this sort of self-deprecating like, oh, well, I guess I just want him to read my mind. But I think what women typically are saying is I pay attention to my partner and
I want
I
him to
know
be
him.
attuned to me.
I want him to be attuned to me just like I'm attuned to him. But whenever he's not paying attention to me or what I want, he's like, well, I can't read your mind. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to want a partner who doesn't need to be constantly instructed on how to be a good partner to you because he's just attuned to you.
For sure.
But at the same time, you clearly do have things that you need to convey to each other, partly because you are still getting to know each
Well,
other.
exactly. I think yeah, that's what I
And like,
meant.
if you want to get to that place with the partner, you're going to have to be more generous and open with each other at this stage. And now he's shutting down and she's like spiraling.
Oh, it's just a diabolical combination. So they go to bed, and Kat, Cassie, and Mackenzie all leave together, emotional.
Yeah, Kat is like, maybe he couldn't handle a girl like me, so he went for a comfortable option. She's like half teary and half laughing. And then she laughs and is like, I don't want to say that. That sounds cocky.
After their lackluster rematch, Marissa and Damari keep hashing out things in their room, and I just wanted to be like, guys, you need to just go to sleep because neither of you
Yeah,
are in a position to fix this right now.
I know. This bummed me out. She's like, please don't be mad at me. I can't handle it. I just got triggered. I don't deal well with someone being mad at me. And like, that's sure, but like, he is going to have to still have the right to have his feelings, even though you don't like those feelings. Just like you're going to have your feelings and get triggered, even if they're inconvenient for him. And that's a relationship you're going to have to, element of the relationship you have to manage. Meanwhile, Damari is also frustrating me because he's so pissed he's literally just shutting down.
Yeah,
And
it's
he's
not
like,
good.
that wasn't okay, and there's nothing you can do about it because it's done.
Which is like the worst thing you can say also to a person who is triggered. It's like they are both just triggering each other at this point. And
Right.
he's like, we're 33 and 29. Like, we're too old for this. If we're going to continue to argue with each other, I'm done. So now the relationship is like an exploding like a time bomb. Like it's like, oh, the next time you fuck
Right.
up, like we're done.
Well, for different reasons now, they're both walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
And because they haven't demonstrated to each other that they have the skills and willingness to repair these situations properly or to address them going forward. It's just like, well, this is just how I am and you have to deal with it. And it's like, well, I'm never going to deal with it and I'm not going to fix it. Like, okay, like seems
Great.
like it's
This
not going to
is
work then.
gonna be a really healthy relationship.
Yeah. Also, Allie and Jimmy, did you feel like they hooked up in their
They
room?
had sex. She says later, like we were
Yes.
intimate.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they, like, have definitely taken things to the next level, and it seems like while they're hooking up, he tells her, "You're my favorite
He
person."
also says I love you to her.
Jimmy, what's going on?
It, and then he's like, we should stay open.
Like,
It's
what?
crazy. The next
Jimmy.
day, there is no compatibility challenge. It's time for the like Casa Amor style twist where the men all get sent off for a day of debauchery with all of the single women and vice versa, the women with the single guys. Some of them, like Sophie, who just arrived and doesn't know how she feels about Dave, are thrilled. Others like Allie and especially Marissa are stressed.
Yeah, I know. Sophia's like, "Finally, I can find a 100% green flag man." Like, in this villa, no, you won't be
Sophie,
finding
there are
that.
no green. There are at best yellow
Yeah.
flags in this villa.
On the way out, Allie tries to establish rules with Jimmy, and he does not engage. So she's like, "Great, I guess even though we just, like, had sex and, like, he told me he loved me, we are open for
So
this mixer.
okay,
Cool." And Marissa tells Damari to behave, which is
Lord.
um, they're just, like, in such a bad place, and I would feel so shitty if I were her heading
I
into.
actually would be having like a full mental breakdown.
Right, because
So
like,
she
they're in
does
a
pretty
bad
well
place.
considering.
Considering I was actually really impressed at how she pulled it together because,
Same.
like, she's now spiraled into, like, an anxious clinging moment where she's like, "I need him to tell me it's okay," and
I would literally
he's
be in a
1 foot out.
corner, like having like hyperventilating.
Yeah,
So good
100%.
for
And it's
her.
like it's fragmented her whole, like, "I'm so confident," like, "I'm just the most confident baddest bitch in the whole house" persona, and she's at a very vulnerable moment. Now he's gonna go hang out with his hot ex and, like, Kat and a bunch of other women. The men are very psyched. I would say Yaman is kind of the most green flag man in the villa, and he is still like, "When the ladies are away, we will play." The ladies meet their men. We don't know as many of them because we've had more women come into the house than men. So they meet Chris, Nick, and also Danny from Temptation Island. He's got the alpaca mullet.
Yeah,
I
he's
remembered
another
him.
one. I remember him.
Yeah.
Hashim from Temptation Island, who I remember, and Weston, who was on Love Island USA season 1.
And his whole thing is like, "I'm ugly. I'm like pudding because I look like shit, but I'm sweet. I'm not handsome." And I'm like, Weston,
Calm
look,
down. You were cast on multiple reality dating shows. Calm
you're
down.
not fooling anyone with this act. He is dressed very badly for his confessionals in like black pants and a black cowboy hat and like a bright orangey red shirt. And I was like, what is this look? Like he needs styling help, I would say. Um, but he's cute. They're all tall. Danny says he has no riz and then describes his game and how he flirts with women. And he says he just makes people feel awkward.
Okay, the other thing I'm picking up on here is that I think a lot of these men are quite young, and
Okay.
Weston has an advantage because he is in his 30s.
Yeah. Danny is giving younger brother a
24.
little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. He's like, here's what I do when I want to hit on a woman. I tap her and then I just look at her for 4 seconds. And then when she's finally like, what do you want? I look confused. And then I just start the conversation. Like,
Mm,
no, stop it. I want to like spritz him with a water. Like, stop it. Bad. That's not how you start a
he is
conversation with a
literally
woman.
24. So,
I'm just like, open the schools. Like, this is not how you start a conversation. That's like, the whole way that you're doing this is by making her feel so confused and uncomfortable that that breaks down her
I mean, it
defenses.
doesn't work for him. Hashim is gonna fare better because he's very handsome and he's 31.
And he went to Princeton, and whenever he comes
Um,
on a show, he's just like, "I'm different. I
I'm
went to
educated.
Princeton. I bet there aren't any other Princeton guys out here. Nope, just me. That's what I thought." He is wearing a yellow crocheted shirt in his confessional, and I thought it really suited him. He's a very
Yeah,
handsome man.
he's very handsome.
He says he doesn't mind being the little spoon. So, he's got it all: intellect, a soft, cuddly side, and the looks as well. Allie is ready to flirt because Jimmy wanted to stay open. And she ends up flirting mostly with Hashim.
I was kinda
Wes,
into this pairing.
yeah, I liked this. Also, like, there are some dynamics here because a lot of these guys were on Love Island or Temptation Island together, and they all have bro code.
Yeah, they all know Yemen and Natalie knows, like, all of them.
Right. Yeah. Like, Danny is like, "Oh, so my friend Natalie is paired up with my bro Yemen, so now I can't talk to Natalie because bro code." Um, Weston does know Yemen from Love Island, but he's the only one who's new to Natalie, so she's determined to flirt with him because she doesn't have a lot of options. And they chat about how they both like move the way they move and attract what they attract or something.
This is like airport book pop psychology speak.
Right.
Like, what
They're
are we
just like,
doing?
my personality is the secret. What about you? Same? Incredible. And he also tells us that he's a lifelong athlete, so he's competitive about dating. I love when men bring that mindset. They're just like, I learned about life through sports. And so what I took away from this is like, women are trophies,
This
dating
is
is
like
a football
Colton on
game.
Traders.
Yeah, exactly. I played football, so I know a thing or two about getting a woman to fall in love with me and also strategy games. Weston chats with Marissa about how much they love spontaneity because life isn't guaranteed. And they're like, people really think it is, but it's not. These people all have the same revelations. This is like our
Death
second
is coming.
conversation about they're all like memento mori, am I right? No one else knows about this. They should put this in the newspaper. We're all going to die. And he's like, if I go to Thailand and die or something, I would be happy because that's what I wanted to do. And she's like, totally. Then they all play truth or dare. And this is when I was a little pleased. I was like, normally we see these parties happen and the men all go nuts
And the women
and
just like hunker down.
look miserable. These ladies are like, I'm not going to stay the Virgin Mary for a man who is definitely doing body shots off of some of the women from outside the villa right now. And Allison is the only one who doesn't play along. Like, she picks truth, and they're all like, you have to pick dare.
You
So it's
said
not
truth or dare. You said truth or dare. I kind of didn't love that they were shaming Allison. I was like,
No, they're
like I
jealous because
yeah,
their men did not want to set boundaries
right.
like
She's
she
just
and
like,
Jimmy did.
well, why would I succumb to peer pressure? Because I like Jimmy and we made an agreement. So I'm just not going to make out with someone.
These games are also so dumb. Like, just ask her a revealing truth, you know? You could have asked her,
Right.
but instead they all want to give each other the same dare, which is like straddle and kiss the person you think is the hottest. Straddle and kiss the person that you would take on a date if you got to go take someone on a date. Make out with someone who you would match with if your match wasn't here. It's like this is all the same dare.
It's just a permission structure.
Yeah,
So
it's just a kissing game. Play spin the bottle or something.
Sophie just makes out with everyone. Love that for her. Allie gets dared to kiss Hashim, who like picks her up and throws her around a little bit.
She's like, Jimmy's never done that.
She's like, I'm not saying he couldn't. I'm just saying he
He
hasn't.
hasn't.
Weston picks Natalie to do multiple body shots off of, and Marissa doesn't love it.
Yeah, he seems like he's pretty interested in both of them.
Yes. Which he says.
Yeah. And she is dared to kiss someone she'd match with if Damari went home. And she makes out with Weston for a very long time.
Okay. I had
Like, they
mixed
really
thoughts
go
about
in.
this. I
Yeah.
I was like, I love that she's not holding back because her relationship is not in a great place. I think it's wise to play the field. However, I think maybe she might have like overshot it a little bit because if Damari, and we don't know yet, if Damari has not crossed a physical boundary in a very strong way, he now has like the moral high ground in the relationship. And I'm not convinced that Marissa's like really looking to leave the relationship with Damari. I think she wants to do
Yeah.
enough to like put out an energy so that she becomes the cool, confident girl again.
Yeah, I feel like their relationship is just on life support as it is, and I don't know what the right way to play this would
She's in a
be.
tough spot. I don't think there is a great
Yeah,
way to play it either way, but I'm worried that that is the dynamic that's going to emerge. And then she's not even really going to give the Weston thing like much of a chance.
that is yeah, I hope that she's ready to give the Weston thing a real chance if she's playing it this way because I think Damari is looking for an off-ramp at this point.
Oh, right. I just mean this gives him a very
Yeah.
easy one. So meanwhile, the boys are mingling with Cassie, Kayla, Catherine, Mackenzie, and Bree. Bree is the only one most of them
Yeah.
haven't met
They
before.
just keep not bringing her in
Yeah.
because Damari's the only guy who's been in the boardroom, and he doesn't wanna see his ex.
This is when we learn that they haven't seen each other.
Yeah, he, like, approaches her with his arm out for a hug, and she just stands there and looks at him, and finally, he puts his arm down and is like, "Oh, that's cool," and she laughs and is like, "You're so funny on camera," and walks away. I thought this was incredibly funny. Like, this is, like, a really ice cold way to handle the re-meeting after a breakup, like, to take this opportunity to basically just, like, in a very like, she's barely doing anything, but she's just like, "You're putting on an act for the cameras, and it's actually embarrassing,
I
and
loved
I'm
it.
not engaging."
Good for you, Bree.
I was like, "Damn, what did he do to you?"
I know. I really wanted to know more about what happened with their
She
relationship.
says that it did not end amicably.
That is clear.
Yeah. She flirts with Jimmy S, but
Again,
he's
Jimmy S. Jesus Christ.
every lady wants Jimmy, and he says that things are going really, really good with Allison, and he doesn't see himself branching out, so
Holding that boundary. Well done, Jimmy.
yeah, but she likes tall men, and he's like, "I can hook you up with my tall friends." She flirts with Yemen as well. He tells her he likes travel, yoga, and skincare, and she starts teasing him for sweating and stumbling, like, over his words, and he gets a little defensive and is like, "No, I'm just sweaty, like, this is just how I talk."
Here's the thing about Yemen. He's so hot and he has no riz.
Why I'm always, like, so thrown by the Yemen thing. On Temptation Island, it was somewhat similar, but it's like,
But
here
I
in
think
this
Temptation
house.
Island he was kind of like built for that.
Right, because it's their job to kind of show women that men can have, like they can be interested in skincare and yoga, and they can,
They
like,
will ask you
be emotionally
questions. They won't just be a
supportive.
complete dickhead to you all the time.
Right. He seems safe to a lot of these women, I think. That's, like, the only thing but some I mean, maybe he has bad breath. I'm just like, he's so handsome, he gets along so well with all these women, and no one is ever like, "I'm gonna make a huge play for Yemen."
Yeah, again, just no risk.
Yeah,
So
I
that's sort of
guess.
where we leave things in this drop. We do get a preview of the next episode or two, and it does seem like Bree and Damari are going to really reconnect in some capacity. It also seems like Marissa and Damari will be having like a sobbing conversation. And I'm just so anxious for our girl.
God, this looks like hell. This is always the thing with these exes is it's like, God, what will happen if I see them? What a nightmare. Like, we hate each other now. And
And then
then
they're
they
like,
always
but
end.
we have this history and we loved each other.
Yeah, I feel like Marissa was not worried enough about the possibility of Brie coming in. Um, so we'll see. I, I'm worried. I'm worried about how the rest of the season is going to play out. But there's not a lot of it left.
3
So,
episodes.
yeah. We'll be back here next week with our thoughts on the next 2 episodes, and then it's the finale. They need to split these up differently. This
Yeah, I'm
was
sorry. We needed a drop of maybe like 4 episodes, but
yeah.
that's just a little feedback for the Netflix team. And on that note, that's it for this episode of Love to See It with Emma and Claire. If you're watching this on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe to our channel.
Love to See It is a presentation of Odyssey. The show is produced by us, Claire Fallon and Emma Gray. Our production assistant is Tatiana Kenney-Smith, who also edits our video. This episode's audio was edited by John Bahar. Our theme music is by Tamar Haviv, and our art is by Aaron Nestor.
If you like Love to See It, remember to follow us, rate us 5 stars, leave a review, and of course, spread the word to all of your friends about Love to See It.
If you want to get in touch, you can email us at claireandemmapod@gmail.com.
You can also find us on TikTok at Love to See It Pod and on Instagram at Claire and Emma Pod. And you can find our newsletter, Rich Text, on Patreon at patreon.com/richtext. I'm also on Blue Sky at Emma Gray and on Instagram and Threads at Emma Lady Rose.
And I'm at Claire E. Fallon. Special thanks to the team at Odyssey, Eric Donnelly, Peter Arriaga, Kate Rose, Moira Curran, Melissa Wester, and Hillary Schultz.
We'll be back soon.
Can you keep up? I like love it.